Welcome to the Mound City Council. It's Tuesday, October 28th, 6 o'clock. We're in Mound City Council chambers. Can we do the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we got our agenda. Do we have any amendments?
I do have two amendments. One is for item 4, the consent agenda. We need to remove 4E, the Widmer pay request, and then item 7, the council introduction. You each have 2 letters that came in today in response to it. So just the removal of the number E, or letter E under number 4, and then the acknowledging that you have feedback for number 7.
So we're not tabling E, we're just removing it.
Just remove it.
Okay. I got the agenda. Can I get a motion with those amendments?
I will make a motion to approve the agenda and with the added amendment with the added acknowledging we're receiving for the council introduction item number 7, and then removing consent agenda item E.
All right, got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, that passes. All right, then we got our consent agenda. Does someone want to go through those?
You can do that.
Okay.
Consent agenda items A through G, removing item E. A, approve payment of claims. B, approve minutes from the October 14th regular meeting. C, approve resolution 2586, permits for 2025 tree lighting on Thursday, November 20th, and waiving of fees. D, approve pay request 1 in the amount of $128,224.45 to Pembroke Companies for project 25-10. And then F, pay request number 3 and final in the amount of $3,340.99 to create construction for project PW 2508. And G, pay request number 6 and final in the amount of $3,320.85 to create construction for project PW 2408.
All right, does council have any questions or want to pull any of those? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
All right, got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Herrick.
Aye.
Councilmember McEnany.
Aye.
Councilmember Pugh.
Aye.
Councilmember Castellano.
Aye.
Mayor Holt.
Aye. All right, all that passes, so if you were here for that, it passed. Number 5, we got comments and suggestions from any of the residents that their item is not on the agenda. You want to come forward? All right, go to the next one. Number 6, we got presentation by Marge Beard. She's Three Rivers Park District 1 Commissioner. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for having me back in Council Chambers to give you a park update. So I'm going to start a little bit with the background, who we are, and I'll talk about some updates in the park. So at Three Rivers, we are established by the state legislature. So we are a standalone local unit of government. A lot of times people ask me, are you part of Hennepin County? And sort of, but not really. Not really. We're run by a board of 7 commissioners. 5 of the commissioners hold an elected position and 2 are appointed by Hennepin County. I serve in one of the elected roles, and in my district, I represent the residents of the city of Mound. Our district includes suburban Hennepin County, so it's just what it sounds like. It's Hennepin County with the exception of Minneapolis, because Minneapolis has their own park board. And we have a long-standing relationship with Scott County, so if you're down south of the cities, down Prior Lake area and all that, you might see some Three River signage. We run the county, some of the county parks on behalf of Scott County. It's really a great use of government spreads that administrative costs wider, better for the taxpayers. And we partner with some other agencies to manage some facilities. So those tend to be golf facilities. Glen Lake in Minnetonka, if you've ever been there, a 9-hole course, it's owned by the county, and we run that on their behalf, as well as the Parkers Lake driving range in Plymouth, owned by the county. We run that on their behalf. Cool. So we have 25 parks and 27,000 acres of land. That's the equivalent of about 42 square miles. We have 175 miles of regional trail, and the regional trail is typically the trail that's found outside our parks. They mostly connect from park to park, and they're easily identifiable by the yellow dashed line down the paved trail. And we have a great example just feet from us here in the Dakota Rail Trail. We have another 300 miles of trail within our parks. So some of those might be paved, many of them are dirt, some are horse trails, as an example. And we get 16 million visits a year, which is really significant because it's over twice our state's population. We are nationally recognized for our treatment of our natural resources. A good example near and dear to the folks out here is our treatment of lakes. We have over 100 aquatic invasive species trained inspectors inspecting watercraft in and out of the lake. So we do our part to try to keep those invasive species under control. And in the bottom right corner, as an example, that is a photo from Crow-Hassan Park Reserve. A little bit of a ride from here. It's up in Rogers, but that is the largest restored prairie in the metro area. So as much as maybe you want to go out to the state parks to see prairie, you can just go up to Rogers and you can see it change throughout the seasons. So, good. So natural resources makes everything go, but most people know us for recreation. That is how people engage with the parks. And we're wrapping up our summer here. The golf courses are still open. Just a little announcement, probably not for much longer, but they're still open. But we had a great summer of, swimming and biking and really people just taking advantage of the sunshine. We're getting ready to begin our winter recreation, which one of the key things is Highland Hills. It's in Bloomington. It's our ski hill. If you've never been there, it's definitely worth checking out. And if you have kids, there's a great 4th grade pass there, so that's a good thing to know. But we're getting ready for cross-country skiing. Hopefully this year we'll have some natural snow, so we'll be able to keep Baker Park going on that. So, good. At Three Rivers, we've really been welcoming everybody to our parks. We've been doing that a couple of different ways. One of the key ways is through our Try It program. And the next Try It program we're going to have is really Try It ice fishing, because people really want to know what's going on the lakes. So we'll have an event yet to be announced and scheduled where we'll create an environment, an introductory level activity, which people know it's safe to go out on the ice. We usually partner with the DNR on that, so we have lots of fishing poles and augers and everything. We really try and get people a taste of that winter weather. But the most exciting thing happening at Three Rivers has been Mississippi Gateway Regional Park. So we've been working on this park for 8 to 10 years. We just had the ribbon cutting a month or so ago. Mississippi Gateway is on the Mississippi River. You may have known it as Coon Rapids Regional Park. About 8 years ago, we started the turnover of that park, so part of that was renaming it. And in the photos we have here, so on the left, there's the Gateway Center, so that's the main building as you come in. It doubles as a visitor center and a nature center. You may have been to some of our other parks where we have separate facilities. This is one. It is fantastic. It's got classrooms, and the whole downstairs level opens up out to the Mississippi River, so we have room for our rafts and watercraft that go out there. We've got many pair of boots that the kids will be using to trudge around out in the river, because we're really trying to get kids to touch the river. The top left corner is we have a water feature in front of the Gateway Center. It's called the Mini Mississippi. When we put this all together, we said, that Mississippi River is great river of the world. It's a little too rough maybe for some of the little tots. So this is a feature where water runs through and it's sort of recycled and all that, and the kids adapted to it immediately. Some of us little older folks were a little like, are they really gonna like this? They love it. And in the bottom right, the Treetops Trail. So that trail comes off the side of the Gateway Center. It's just what it sounds like. It's an elevated trail in the treetops, and it goes out to a great vista over the wetlands. The birders love it because they're a lot closer to the birds. So, click. A little closer to home, just to highlight some of the natural resource work we've been doing on Whaletail Lake. So Whaletail Lake is in Minnetrista. It's part of the, or adjacent to the Gale Woods Park. And we worked on a joint partnership with the Pioneer Creek Watershed, City of Minnetrista, and Three Rivers on some alum treatments. And alum is a treatment which attaches to phosphorus, makes the phosphorus fall to the bottom of the lake, and it clears up the lake. It improves lake quality, lake water quality. And so far, Whaletail Lake was impaired. It's testing at not impaired, but for us to remove it from the impaired waters list in Minnesota, we have to maintain that for 2 years. There is another treatment scheduled, and we're sure hoping that's a big deal to try and get these impaired lakes back to restored. A lot of work goes in that. So, cool. Another highlight of kind of cool things we're doing is we have a partnership with Chronolog. And Chronolog is, it's kind of just what, the picture really tells 1,000 words. There's stations, we have 25 stations scheduled, scattered throughout our parks, where you take your cell phone and you put your cell phone into the holder there. So it gets the same picture each time. And you take a picture, and there's directions on each one, how you send it to the cloud. And then our natural resource team can see it. And when you submit a picture, you actually get access to the whole time sequence. So it's kind of cool, and it helps us do citizen science right here in our area. Excuse me. Good. Also closer to home, I couldn't leave here without really highlighting the Dakota Rail Trail. Mound holds a really great location on that trail, sort of midpoint. And it's got great parking and great restaurants for people to stop off. It's a great trail entree and exit point. So we're glad to have that trail around. And just as we're wrapping up, so we have Three Rivers has a great relationship working with the Mound staff and council. But we always want to continue to extend that, our hand of partnership and friendships to the city. So if there are things that come up or questions you have, we want you to feel free to reach out to us through me or through staff. We have experience with a lot of natural resources throughout Hennepin County, so we've likely seen whatever challenge you're having, and we'd be happy to sort of, we want you to see us as a friend and, be happy to reach out to us. And with that, I'll stand and take any questions or comments anyone might have.
All right, does council have any questions for Marge?
This may be a question for you or maybe for our city public works, but will you be plowing the trail?
So in all cases, for all our cities, we have a winter maintenance agreement. So we don't actually do any of the plowing of our trails. So we
Okay.
make arrangements with the cities that the cities decide how much they want to plow. There's a multi-year agreement signed, and I know Mound, you have to.
We did it, and it
Yes.
was 2021.
Yes.
And then you rebate us back the cost, or?
We pay you back
Partial.
a small amount.
Portion
Yes, it's
portion
really-
of it.
Yeah, we pay you back. But Mound on the west side of the trail wanted it not plowed because there's a snowmobile crossing or something there, right? Isn't there?
There's an apron that we put on, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a big deal.
Right, so that's a
Thank
good
you.
reason why the cities make the decision of what they want plowed, how often. Also, it's key even with your other sidewalks and trails, like you don't want to just plow that and then the street plow comes and fills it back up again. So there's a lot of coordination and timing that really works best from a local decision-making.
Great, thank you.
Well, my question or comment is, I've noted that many cities have partnerships with the parkway, and we've had some too with our crossings. But we also have a need to really think strategically how to link paths and Mound to the Dakota Trail. And so in doing that kind of work, is that something that our staff generates with you, or should the council pass a resolution requesting a partnership on that sort of idea, or how would we move forward?
So we would be happy to come out and talk to you or your staff on any topic Parker Trail related. Typically, that's handled in your comprehensive plan where you have So cities have, one of the sections of the comprehensive plan is related to parks and trails, and many times there's identified trails that were probably identified decades ago that just sort of sit there, and it's up to the cities when or if you want to develop them or not. So it's
Okay.
usually part of comprehensive planning.
And of course, my other question is the 17 acres that you purchased right on our city border. It's in Minnetrista.
Oh, mhm.
Just, on Dutch Lake and stuff. And have you had plans for that? And could that possibly be a dirt bike path? Because we have a bunch of kids who do that.
So a couple of things there. So I think you're talking about the most recent acquisition we did at, so it's it's going to be within the boundaries of Gale Woods.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Oh,
So
is
that
it?
actually completes all our identified.
I don't think it's Gale Woods.
she's
This
talking
is
about the-
Dutch Lake.
The Mound, or the the Water Creek.
Right next to the Huber.
Next to the funeral home.
I just got an email on it the other day that they're, I don't know if you guys, do they own it? Or
Rebuying it, or is the
Yeah,
watershed?
you
I think the
guys bought it.
watershed
Oh, there you
is.
go. It's like,
Oh, is the watershed bought it?
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you.
okay. Sorry, wrong place.
And that's okay, but we usually wind up participating in those somehow, advising or not. And then the
It's a
second part
beautiful
of your
wooded
question?
lot, and it's a lot of hardwoods,
Oh,
trees in
yeah.
there.
So, yeah, 11 acres. It is the watershed. And there is some kind of, maybe I can forward this to Jesse and he can forward it to you
Okay.
guys. But yeah, anyway, that's not you
Okay.
guys.
Can you elaborate on the Gale Woods thing, though?
Sure. So from time to time, we do acquisitions, and we have park boundaries identified in our park plans, which are like your comprehensive plans that go to the Met Council, right? There's a lot of that. And we have park boundaries, and there has been a few identified private parcels that we had identified that we would like that right, or the option
Cool.
to buy, and usually sellers are cooperative. Many people want to protect their land, so, and they have a buyer at, appraised value, fair market value. So, so we recently, it takes municipal consent, so we did have to go out to Minnetrista and get their approval, and I think it's coming before us at our next meeting. So that one's in motion.
So it's just like attached to Gale Woods, but.
Yes,
make it
when you
bigger.
see the map, it's like
Yeah.
Gale Woods, and it's just around it, so it would
Cool.
complete the edge of the
Okay.
park.
Good.
So, yep. Yep, there's a number of parcels identified that way we would like to buy, but we don't force people
Yeah.
to sell to us.
Well, I
So
like
you
live
don't
there,
go into
so-
eminent domain or anything?
We don't do that. We don't. We are a willing seller purchaser. That's in general how we operate.
Great.
Well, I want to say thank you for
Yes.
your partnership on the trail crossing. That's
That
one
was
of the,
spectacular.
you should have
I
put the
should've
picture
put
in
that
there.
I'm like, I said we
Yeah.
were talking, I was like, yes. So that was one we were really proud of. Just in May, I think it was, we did
Yeah.
the ribbon
Yeah.
cutting for the trail crossing on Shoreline Drive. And I told my story then, I'll tell it here. When I first
Yeah.
got onto the Park District, the first public place I went was at the Gillespie Center. And I had just gotten on, I really didn't know much. And Eric, the prior city manager, tracked me right down and said, we got to fix that,
Yeah.
that crossing, we got to make it better. And I said, okay, I'll look into that. And then I saw the mayor who said, we got to fix that crossing. And then I personally got on my bike and I rode the Dakota Rail Trail. I mean, I'd seen the crossing, but it's a lot different when you're sitting on your bike at that crossing and you're trying to get across. And
Yeah.
there's a lot going on for the drivers. And so I know that had a lot of jurisdictions on that. And, we were proud to play our part and glad that that's there. And I drove through that crossing today and I had a little like, way to go. So,
Well, and I'm sure you know about this or will soon if you don't, but the other part, the other part in Mound,
Commerce.
on Commerce, we're working on that. That's, I think, more county they're kind of doing most of it, but we're trying to get flashers in there
Right.
as well. So anyway, if you have to sign a form for that, we appreciate you signing.
we usually get involved somehow in that, and we're
Yeah.
very happy
Yeah.
to anything to improve pedestrian crossings, whether there are crossings or not. They're important.
Well, thank you for everything.
My pleasure, thank you very much,
Thank you.
appreciate
you.
being here.
All right, number 7, we got council introduction. presentation of concept plan from Max Bitterman on behalf of the Dog Wellness Club. And we got
Good evening,
Rita.
Mayor, members of the council, members of the public. I'm Rita Trapp, the city's planning consultant. We're going to do a council introduction this evening. It's a little different than we've done historically, so I'm going to spend a little bit more time providing some context. And then the applicant is here to provide the background of the request that they had this evening. As you know, your city policy requires having a council introduction when there is significant changes related to a subdivision or a plan unit development in the community. The applicant is requesting consideration or input from you on their concept for a dog daycare, boarding, and training facility at 4851 Shoreline Drive. We are not sure yet exactly what the project will look like in terms of whether or not it will need a plan unit development or not. So to err on the side of caution and to take the opportunity for the applicant to have some input from you before they spend the money and the time and the resources, we wanted to have this in front of you this evening. So we're having it go through the council introduction process. The Dog Wellness Club is proposing this dog daycare, boarding, and training facility. The one nuance that's different about this than we've had in the past is that this use is not specifically listed in the city code as an allowed use. There is a section of the city code that specifically states that if a use is identified as permitted, conditional, or accessory, then it's allowed in the code, and if it's not, it either needs to be considered substantially similar or it's just not allowed in the code. When we went through and updated the code requirements, at the time we did not include dog kennels, dog daycares in the code specifically because it is something that would need some discussion by the community about, is it appropriate in the community, where might it be appropriate in the community, what conditions might you have, and we were going through such a big overhaul that I wanted to make sure that that use did not get lost, and we had a conversation that made sure that we were clear about where it would be allowed or not allowed in the community should that kind of use ever be considered for the community. So that happens sometimes where our use tables don't include specific uses, and that is why we have the zoning amendment process. So if this applicant were to move forward, they would need to submit for a zoning amendment, a zoning code amendment, which would specifically request for you to add that use into the zoning code and identify at that time whether it's permitted or conditional. If you choose the conditional route, typically you would identify some conditions that you would like to see, and then they could also apply for that conditional use permit. And so I want to note the location. This particular property is considered mixed use. It is located, as you know, as I said, on Shoreline Drive. What's important to recognize whenever we have these conversations is that if we are making a zoning code amendment and we are identifying a use as permitted or conditional, it affects all the properties in that district, not just this particular property. So it would affect all of the mixed-use districts that we have. Or mixed-use commercial, and so I wanted to just make sure that you were aware of that, because that would be helpful for the applicant as part of the conversation today to understand whether or not that's something that this use seems appropriate in the community, where might it seem appropriate, because if we were to make that code amendment, then they would be allowed to propose either a permitted or a conditional use, and that would affect, so this property, for example, is the mixed-use corridor district, so that would affect all of the properties on Commerce Boulevard from downtown to the south. So that would mean any property similarly situated, depending on the conditions you identify, would also be allowed either as a permitted or conditional use. So that's why this becomes an important conversation to make sure that we're aware that it is property specific in what they're asking for, but there are broader implications if we were to entertain a code amendment. So, as is similar, we do not make a specific review commentary on the concept introduction. We are here to just kind of provide the context, the background information you need. The applicant is here to provide their information of what they're proposing. We did notice the surrounding neighbors, as is typical, and so there may be individuals in the audience that wish to add their feedback on thoughts about this. We did receive in your council amendment to your agenda earlier. That was to add 2 email comments that we did receive, so you had received those, and those were amended into your agenda that you can read this evening. With that, I can answer any questions if there are any. This is just a slightly different one, so we wanted to make sure you had the context that the ask is about The project itself, as well as kind of just so you're aware of an overarching, this will need potentially a plan unit development. That hasn't been decided. It depends how many exterior changes they're looking for. But for sure, it would need a zoning code amendment because currently we don't even include that use in our use table.
All right, does Rita have, or does council have any questions for Rita?
No, not at this point.
Okay,
Great, thank you. Mr. Bitterman.
Mr. Bitterman, does Mr. Bitterman want to come up next? Yeah, come on up. Hey, how are you? Can you give us your name and address?
What's that?
Can you give us your name and address?
Sure. My home address?
Or
Yes.
commercial,
Yeah,
whatever.
the business? Okay.
Sure.
My name's Max Bitterman. I'm the owner of the Dog Wellness Club. I live in Orono, so I'm
Okay.
close by, but our business is 221 Border Ave in Minneapolis. And our second location, if it works out, would be 4851 Shoreline Drive.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like to know?
Yeah, does council have any questions, or do you want to just run through a couple of the slides and just give us a
Sure, I'll give you guys an overview of what we do. It seems like everyone's pretty familiar with pet services, daycare, boarding, training. So I think I'll focus more on what we do is kind of a paradigm shift in our industry, and it's a bit disruptive. We started training in 2009, and we take what we call a dog-centric approach. So we study how dogs raise their children, how they communicate, how they view society. And what that allowed us to do was create a pretty incredible puppy program that rather than training, it's more of a puppy parenting approach, where we follow age and stage lessons from their parents. The other piece of what we do is behavior solutions for adult dogs. And given the nature of the results we've been able to get on that front, we had a strong push from our clients to, the way we say it, create a dog daycare that's more of a campus than a kennel, where it's built on inclusion instead of incarceration. That's the status quo in our industry, and that's what makes us disruptive, is that it's different, and we're able to execute that by understanding how to make sense to our dogs and teach right from wrong and create a cohesive group dynamic. We had the owner of the Farmers Market Annex, which is adjacent to the Minneapolis Farmers Market, saw the vision and he leased us the space, and we've been able to execute it there quite well. We're next to a daycare and the kids come by often. Minneapolis Police and Fire visit regularly. During the farmers market on the weekends, it's like a petting zoo. You know, I did just briefly read the two neighbor comments, and one of them is for the odor-related issue. The turf that we use absorbs no moisture, and it has filler beads that absorb no moisture and are antimicrobial. Beneath that, there's sand, and we rinse it regularly. So when you stand over it, you can't smell it. So if you were 150 feet away, you know, it's not a borderline issue with how we've managed the yard. On the noise front, we have, our contractor has a composite fence that is noise reducing. We would plan to put an arborvitae hedge around it as well. We'd be quite far from the edge of the street, with which we would also put at the street level, we'd put a pine tree hedge, which I think I drew a picture in there somewhere. Sorry I'm not following the slides. Let's see, more. Yeah, so that would be the idea where I have the blue pines. That's a wrought iron fence in the drawing, but if it was a concern, we would certainly switch to the opaque composite. And it's significantly far from the road, from the homes that are on the lake. And so that is definitely a consideration that has to be made. We don't have our dogs outside unattended ever, and we don't allow incessant barking. And it's where we are in Minneapolis is significantly more fast-paced and dynamic, and we have no problem with the dogs being outside and being a part of the neighborhood. So I'd say a lot of our clients, we have people that'll pass 7 or 8 daycares to come to us, so we were able to fulfill that mission of doing something different and better, and a lot of them live in the area. The current owner of the building is a member of ours who is going from Excelsior to the North Loop, passing several dog daycares because of what we're doing. So Gary and Teresa would love for us to be there, obviously, for themselves, but this is an area in the west suburbs, especially West Tonka, Orono, Navarre. We have a lot of people that would be really excited to have us. So I think if we were there, what people would find is that it enriches the neighborhood, it's fun to see the dogs, and it's good for the community.
Does council have any other questions?
What would I mean, I know there's city codes and all that stuff, but like, what is your goal of like proposed like operating hours?
Yeah,
People
we
that were
would,
concerned about barking, you know?
yeah, and we would definitely respond to neighborhood goals with when our dogs could or couldn't be outside if that was relevant. Typically, we would have dogs, outside attended between the hours of 8 and 6. So we could edit that, modify that if needed.
And then closed on the weekend?
We're open on the weekends.
Okay. When did you open in Minneapolis?
It was March 2018.
Do you get a lot of complaints from your Minneapolis location?
Wasn't
None
this
yet.
the
None yet?
Yeah, we're, there's a residential building that went up a couple of years ago, nothing from
The one
them.
that's in-
We have,
in the shopping
there's a
mall
restaurant
used
with a
to be right down
patio
there.
adjacent to us, no issues.
Okay.
Of course, they're a dog-friendly patio, so
Right.
they're within the concept.
When the dogs go to the bathroom, that's where they go?
Yeah, they would go in the yard.
Then you pick it up right away?
Yeah, we pick it up right away, and obviously we rinse through the drainage if needed to.
Okay.
And
It's a
how
good-
many dogs would you anticipate at any
A
one
lot,
time?
that's a great question. A lot less than a traditional dog daycare and boarding facility. So we'd probably have an average of 40 dogs a day, maybe 50, 55 during the week, 20, 25 at most on weekends. So it's more boutique. It's the whole concept and the idea, which makes it tough for zoning and what's expected and what's typical in our industry, is that it belongs in a neighborhood. But every neighborhood has a right to, to manage it. And also there's, being second is obviously better than first, but it's different. And between, I don't know if you guys have ever been to other daycare and boarding facilities, but most of them don't belong in neighborhoods. And so this is a different approach, where the dogs are actually a part of the community and in a place instead of in a warehouse basement, where they're more immersed into daily life and into a commercial area like that.
So most of the time, the dogs would be inside?
Most of the
Unless
times,
they have to go to the bathroom?
no, we would hang out outside with the dogs a lot.
Okay.
And what we find is our dogs mostly just lay out and bask in the sun. We don't allow erratic, crazy, wild behavior at the daycare, so
So I got 3 dogs, you have
they can come.
one.
I have one, yeah. Is there a size restriction? I know
No.
we have some locally that are
So yeah,
restricted to a
something
certain
else
size.
we do different than other daycares is we organize them by age and stage,
Okay.
not size. More like preschool, less like fighting. So,
Our animals are very social, I don't know.
you have 3. What kind of dogs?
I don't know why. That's
I'm gonna tell you why, because you're married.
Yeah, I agreed
Okay,
somehow.
we'll address that later.
Anyway, well, her dog was in my yard the other day.
Yeah,
Fun.
she's very social.
She had to come get.
So she would like it.
Oh, yeah, she doesn't know a
Does she
stranger.
get a vote? Is she here?
No, dogs can't vote. No, I'm just thinking, like, my dogs, they have a bad habit now of barking.
Yeah,
You probably hear them.
I can hear.
Jason, I'd be happy to come talk to you.
I need to
and
talk
them
to you.
about it, mostly that.
I need to talk to you probably.
Yeah, let's make that on the
Can
agenda.
you train old dogs new tricks?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yes, they're not brand new, so.
Okay, no, we can talk to them about it, for sure.
But that's what gets me worried with this, neighborhood
Yeah.
environment is, and I'm sure when people want to talk, I'm sure that's the same, one of the same
100%.
thing as barking, and I don't have a lot of tolerance for barking, and now they don't
Mine
listen to me
doesn't bark.
because I'm not the alpha.
Right, well, there's more
So-
to it than that. I'll help you, Jason, on that.
All right.
But, yeah, it's a rational concern because most dog daycare owners that I know, in fact, all of them, who they hire, the way they don't have a background in understanding
Right.
why dogs do what they do and what makes them get along and enjoy themselves. And then they're hiring people who like dogs and need money, and they don't have career people the way we do, and it's not founded on an understanding that allows it to go well. So it'd be similar to like if you were to open a pediatric clinic because you like kids and like money, but that third piece of understanding internal medicine is not a part of the status quo.
Right.
So that's what we do differently. And so that would be my first concern, just knowing our industry is, it'd be a huge no. What we're doing is different, it's better, and it makes the neighborhood better.
Do you ever walk them on the sidewalk, or you stay in the?
Typically not. If we had a class and I was working with someone's dog who is dragging them through the neighborhood, I would teach them how to use communication instead of force to get them to relate well on the leash. But we wouldn't take out groups of dogs outside of the fence.
Okay.
I think the concept is really fantastic. I guess I'm more concerned about the implications of having to address the zoning amendments along the entire
Yeah.
area. I'd like to see more information on that, to see how that's going to impact the entire street.
So we'll have Rita come back up in a minute.
Yeah, because I have a question too. Was this the formal animal hospital site?
This building? No.
This building? Okay. So I'm trying to figure out where the building
It's
is.
right next to
This
the,
is right.
Right next
the
to
car
it.
lot, when you turn off 110 and take the
When you come
shortcut.
across the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right when you-
right there. Oh, where that little strip,
Right to the left there.
uh-huh.
Right next to
Okay,
the
where the
used
tub
car.
thing was.
It's this.
Okay.
Would we have any other questions for him since we got here?
No,
No.
no, a lot of people address like the parking, and stuff, but I mean, I don't really see that. It's got
Do you,
plenty of
do you
parking.
want to flip back? Who's the slide
And it's
master?
surrounded by
I think
businesses.
maybe
It's
a
not like
couple
someone's
before or
house.
after, there may be, maybe it was deeper actually, I'm sorry.
Like these
Might be-
look the same. They're
So we've done a
black and
parking
brown
study
ones,
in
but I think they're
Minneapolis, if you
only
guys wanna
talking about
review
those,
this.
so they
So I
must
know
own
this
that,
is,
and they're not gonna
I've
use
seen
that.
one of these down south, and of course, you're addressing the warehouse type effect where they're in separate areas with the garage doors open
Because this
periodically.
is- Is this
You
15
know,
here?
obviously, there's
Here.
challenges with
15's
certain
here.
dogs.
This is that area
Such
and
as
lighting.
Jason has one that likes to bark,
Yeah,
which is why mine likes to go over there, because that's how she knows.
yeah.
They're out, I can go
Yeah.
play. But my dog doesn't bark,
Bartlett.
and I don't know, do we have ordinance against barking dogs, or, would we have to
Most
adjust
cities
those?
do.
Yeah, once it gets excessive, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-minute warning.
I mean,
Believe
I
me,
don't wanna listen to it
Yeah, I'm
either, I
sure you've
get
heard
it.
some
I
of
know it,
these.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and I
Yeah.
love Molly to death, so it's not, it's not a
But no one wants to hear them barking. so
Nobody
it's
wants to hear
not
them.
healthy for
Exactly,
everybody.
and that's an owner issue,
Right.
which in this situation would be you.
My problem, right.
Yes. So, I guess what is done to mitigate that sound problem, other than, I guess, the structural, the trees,
Yeah,
the
that's
barrier?
that's the approach to minimize the sound if it's occurring, but the primary focus is making sure the dogs are relating in a way where they're not
I guess
activated
I
and
can see,
intense,
because okay, now that I
and
know what's
alarming
at,
about things.
There's some very
and
expensive houses.
Where they're
up
feeling
in here.
content and the play is in
Driftwood
a,
Lane.
in a zone
Yeah,
that's
down
soft,
there,
sweet, and
and then-
fun.
yeah.
Most of our dogs sit around and hang out all day,
But
but
it
this,
is
for the
surrounded
dogs
by
like,
businesses.
your dog Molly,
Yeah,
is her
I
name?
know.
That's my dog.
Oh, your dog. Well, I'm sure when she
Kinda
plays,
Jackie.
it's mostly,
She
she's
just
still
barks.
reachable and she's not out of control. And so there's a way to help dogs understand if they're doing it out of enjoyment and enthusiasm, to let them know that they shouldn't. And
Right.
if there is a problem, there's definitely a way to understand what are you going through, and you can respond in a meaningful way, the same way you would if a person was alerting and concerned.
Right,
There's subtle differences, but it's the same concept.
certainly.
So that's the hack, Jason, when we work with your dogs. They think like you do. They're good people, they're socially brilliant. There's nothing they can't learn that you know about how to get along. So you're gonna become a dog whisperer once we get together.
All right. I'll send my wife to you. She can do it.
I mean, I think that's the biggest concern, obviously, we have is the local residents. I mean, based on the pictures and everything, there's a lot of noise there to begin with, because that's a busy road.
Yeah, we won't be
That's a
louder
lot
than
of gray noise,
shoreline.
you know what I mean? That's a lot of gray noise kind of
And
thing.
I live
going
6
on.
houses up from the lake on Crystal Bay.
Okay,
We're not gonna be as loud as the boats for the people on the water, and we're not gonna be as loud as shoreline.
that's why, I mean, I think most of the residents probably have this vision of a bunch of barking dogs going nuts, and that's, I
Yes.
get it, that's a problem.
That is, I would not wanna be anywhere near that.
Well,
So I
and
get that.
this image is a little deceiving because it really is very residential,
Yeah.
all the way around it, except for in front on, 15.
Totally, I meant to really, with this picture specifically, emphasize us, but yeah, that is not a way to make it look like those aren't houses where the search bar is. Like it is, 150 feet away.
All right. Any other questions for him? Okay. All right, if you want to take a seat, you might want to come back up later.
Okay, thank you.
Um, Do we want to have Rita come back up and address, Councilmember? Do you want to have Rita come up and so you
Well,
can talk about that, or?
Is that something we should discuss tonight?
Or-
Because I feel like we should definitely consider how that's going to impact.
Do you want to do that first, or do you want to hear from the residents?
I can wait till after the residents too.
Which one?
Whatever works. It doesn't matter.
Let's hear from the residents first. Okay, if anybody wants to come up and give us your opinion, come on up. All right, can you give us your name and address?
Scott Erickson, 1840 Shadywood Road, Orono. So I came here tonight because I actually own the buildings on each side. I'm a dog lover.
Okay.
But my problem is I got super well-behaved dogs, and I just know those are, I mean, running a business and having, you know, especially if the dogs are going to be outside a lot, I was wondering, like, are they inside? But 50 dogs going through there a day, there's going to be dogs barking. I mean, it's going to be loud. I mean, 15 is not a busy, I mean, there's cars, but it's not noisy. I can sit outside on the phone. I think this is a far cry from Minneapolis and the noise and being in a neighborhood like that is, you know, as far as having because I think of like Hound Dog in Eden Prairie, kind of across the street from Home Depot, probably a similar situation. I don't believe those dogs go outside. You know, and then you have some way out in the country. I think the one that's in Spring Park that's in the old carpentry shop next to Dairy Queen, I don't believe those dogs go outside because that's pretty close to, you know, residential houses too, but it is commercial on both sides, but I don't believe those are ever outside. So anyways, my big concern is just the noise.
Okay.
You know, and seeing and hearing that they are gonna be outside a lot. He may be a dog whisperer, but I just feel like there's no way you're training all those dogs. My dogs are extremely well behaved. I'm with dog people all the time, and even when my dogs are with their brothers and sisters, and I have them with my buddies, they bark and they, you know, it's just you know, when you put them in that situation, they get excited and bark. And they are the same size, they're the same breed, and my dog does not bark at home, but you put her with friends and whatnot, and they get excited. So that was my concern. I kind of wanted to hear it out and see how that was going to lay, but
Sell 'em this side.
obviously somebody's going to be there,
Sell
but
'em
I
this
just,
side.
the noise factor would be an issue for me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Does anybody else want to come up? All right, can you give us your name and address?
I'm Becky Hill from 4835 Bartlett Boulevard, and my driveway is exactly across from where the Bartlett entrance is for the parking area for the employees
Yep.
for the concept plan establishment. My question is, how large is that run space at the back of the building? I think that's Bartlett right there. Where the driveway comes in, right? And the yellow arrow goes arrows to the employee parking area. My driveway is exactly right across from that driveway entrance right there. So my
How far is
question,
the dog yard from the entrance to that driveway?
how large is the dog run area back there?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this is a concept drawing, and part of
Yeah.
it is with that in mind is that may need to vary based on how far, if we were to be there, how far should we be away? Would have to be something weighed into in zoning with the neighborhood committee or city council. So the drawing there is just to illustrate that it will not be shoved into the edge up there. So it's about, the way that's drawn, it's roughly 60 feet away from the curb. And that could be 80, that could be 50. You know, our goal would certainly be the target is to fit into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that would be, you know, a big part of the process for us. Would be
Okay.
what is reasonable for, you know, abutting a street that's right across from home.
Thank you. I'm concerned about the space there. It seems to me the entrance into the parking area for the employees, that's a pretty small area, and now you're gonna have that be employee parking plus a dog run area, and I'm not seeing how that's gonna
Yeah, the angle
fit
there,
very
the way
well
the
for
hedge
space.
Drawing, yeah, it's a good question. There's like 7 spots there. We only have 4 people maximum at a time. So that'll work for us without it being crowded, or I think you would meet parking standards.
Yeah.
But that would have to be addressed because it has to.
Okay, it looked like there were 4 spaces like adjacent to the dog run area and then 4 spaces on the street side, on
Right.
Bartlett's side. So
I think we
that
do have
does,
another
I don't
graphic in
picture
there.
that.
Yeah, that maybe shows the other angle. There we go. That
Yeah.
shows a little more of what we'd be looking
Yeah.
at.
I don't see how, that size-wise, you know, depending on the size of the dog run, I don't see how that's all gonna fit. Because right now, they just have several parking spots, like 4, 5 parking spots along that tree line there. So, you know, that's just my concern.
Okay.
And you don't know the size of that dog run area out there.
Yeah, it's gonna definitely, it would be varying based on what the goals of the neighborhood are, like you're saying, and
Okay.
also making sure that we have adequate parking.
Okay. So the noise definitely a concern, and the space for that dog run area back there, which is right across the street from my driveway. So, and then we do have, currently, there's a renter on one property that's just to the east of us, so it would be out the driveway here to the left. And they have a very large dog. It's a Saint Bernard, a very large dog with a big booming voice. And any noise, any people walking, that dog is going to be barking. And so I'm concerned for that renter as well. She's not here to represent herself, but, you know, it's going to be a disruption there. So,
Okay.
thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, anybody else want to come up?
I have one more question about,
Well, hold on.
That's what,
oh,
Are we done? Once I shut it down, I'm shutting it down. So. Okay. Okay, do you have a question for who?
for you.
For him? Do you want to come back up, please?
Sure.
I guess you bring up a good point in terms of the 40 or 50 dogs that you'll have a day.
Yeah.
And when I look at this, and I drive by this area all the time, it's not that large an area, so accommodating 40 or 50, would it be cars daily dropping off your
Yeah.
dogs?
It'd be more like,
Yeah.
during the week, it's about 80% daycare and then 20% boarding. Weekends are like 80% boarding, 20% daycare. So a boarding that shows up on a given day is one visit. Daycare would probably be, morning and afternoon. So on a day where we had 50 dogs, I would say, maybe 40 stops times 2. So maybe 80 within 10 hours.
so how big is that dog run outside, and would you, I mean, you're not gonna have all 50 dogs out at the yard at the same time, right?
Probably not, but
Yeah,
most of what we would do in that space is the dogs would be pretty much free to go anywhere they want. Typically, if the weather's nice, well, I guess it's, in the winter, the Berners and the St. Bernards want to spend the whole day outside, and the Malamutes and the Pit Bulls are hiding inside. And then in the summer, all the short, tight-furred dogs, they're outside, and the Malamutes are in the AC. So we don't usually get all of our dogs outside for long periods of time, but we don't restrict it. The only thing we really focus on is treating the yard like inside. Like, you have to be calm, you have to stay in the social zone, can't get crazy, So that's more the focus, is the behavior side.
so how, I mean, the visual's fine, but how big do you think that area is? I mean, to
As
Til's
drawn, I believe I made it, the yard, the length towards the homes, equidistant to the width of the back of the building. And
Okay.
so I think we have it in one of the others, but I think that's about 40 by 40. Or maybe 50 wide, 40 towards the lake. And that's, again, that would be something we would, it could vary based on what makes the most sense if this were feasible.
Okay. And so the only time the dogs would be outside, they would always be attended, and they wouldn't be out
Always.
there you know, other than the hours of 7:30 to 7 PM Monday through Friday and 8 to 6 on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
You say you do board?
We do, yeah.
So like, you have someone staying there overnight or?
Not usually. On holidays, we do, especially 4th of July with fireworks. We just monitor it with smart home.
Yeah.
And most of our dogs sleep in the living room. We have kennels and crates for older dogs and dogs that don't want to be around others all night. But the baseline is cage-free. And then we deviate based on what works for a specific dog.
Okay.
So your dog would be snuggled up with friends. Yours might want their own space at night.
Yeah.
Go hang out with the color.
All right, do we have any other questions for him before Rita?
Okay, thanks again.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks for coming back
Yeah.
up.
No problem.
So, the PUD zoning, you know, if we had to do that, how does that all work?
So the first element is that we would need to identify the use in the use table to say whether or not the use is allowed. Currently, the use table does not include anything related to dog kennels, doggy daycares. It does include an animal vet hospital, obviously because we have one. But it specifically says in that definition that they would not be allowed to have boarding. They can obviously board sick animals, the vet hospital, but not commercial kennel as part of it. So that's a specific element we currently have. In order to have this use proceed, we would need to have a zoning amendment that added it to the use table, and then you would need to identify what districts it would be allowed in, and whether you wanted it as permitted, or permitted with standards, or conditional. And then if we did conditional, it probably would be good to identify what those kinds of conditions would be. Again, as I stated in the introduction, this is something that you add to the entire zoning district. And so you can't control the location necessarily. You can say, obviously, you can evaluate and say, well, it doesn't meet the conditions. You aren't able to meet those. And you also can't have it just for a particular use. So we'd have to really craft the conditions to make sure that we have it being the way that you want it to be and that it has limitations. Whether those are hours of operation, amount of staffing, additional amounts of parking, noise. I mean, those are the things that we would really want to think through. If this moved forward and the applicant has applied, then staff would spend the time putting more effort into figuring that out. We haven't done that because of the way that we do the council introduction. We haven't spent staff time kind of researching, identifying precedents, trying to figure out what are things that you would consider. The first element for you would be a zoning amendment to allow it, and then they would, if you decided to make it a conditional use permit, they could simultaneously apply for the conditional use permit, assuming the zoning amendment would be something that you would consider. That's why this council introduction is helpful, because if it is something that we are going to consider, that's helpful for them to know that they should put the time and effort in. Even if you say tonight that you're not interested, they could still apply and go through the process, but at least they have a little bit more information about what the concerns were, so they could move forward with it.
So
Yes, ma'am.
if they went anyplace else in Mound, we'd still have this same process.
Correct, and that was
Okay.
an intentional, hopefully you're okay with it, intentional choice when we did all of the updates, because we didn't have a conversation about this use, and it is a primarily residential community, so something we really want to be thoughtful and careful about, where might it be allowed. So you could still consider it and say that it's appropriate in another district, if that's something that you wanted to, because we obviously have mixed-use districts, and we do have a commercial district, and the industrial district, so there's kind of 4 places it might be appropriate.
And again, this is mixed use.
This is mixed-use corridor. And we do in the use table have a differentiation between mixed-use downtown and mixed-use corridor, so you could say it differently in the corridor area as downtown. The corridor area, again, starts south of downtown all along Commerce. So
that would
Gillespie by Lake Minnetonka Flats, kind of in that area.
So if we had to do a zoning amendment, would that would affect everybody on 15 down?
Yes.
I'm not sure which is the mixed-use corridor and.
Google, not look on yours, if you Google the zoning map. So it's this area that we're talking about, and then there's the little part on 3 Points where the Al-Anon building is, and then the other mixed-use corridor is on 110. And I think the city manager is going to try and pull that up for you so you can take a peek at that. Going from Bartlett north to kind of the Our Lady of the Lake Church area.
Oh,
It's
that's
kind of where
mixed
the,
use?
that's mixed-use corridor.
Okay.
Which most of that is
It's
housing.
January 2020, or August of
Most of it's housing,
2022.
except for the
Is the map.
restaurant, Gillespie, and the church.
Yeah, I found it this
No, there's
afternoon, so
commercial.
I figured you might wanna. Yep. Let's see, okay, so this is the, we have the map up now, if that's helpful. Yep, so this is the property we're talking about. So this entire area, and then the other area is this. And then there is a tiny little piece on 3 Points. Yeah. So those are the properties that would be impacted if,
Oh, okay.
so if we wanted to entertain this, then the challenge for staff would be to try and identify standards that would help you achieve what you're trying to achieve. And limit the impact for a really big site or a big use of user, if that's of concern for number of dogs or number of people or those types of elements.
So we have to do all that first before it would go to like planning or whatever?
So the applicant would apply for a zoning text amendment, and then staff would work on preparing what that would look like and what those recommendations from a planning perspective would be, and then the planning commission would hear it as part of the process.
Okay, so we don't, it all kind of merges.
It could be
final
done
project.
simultaneously rather than, otherwise you could do it sequentially. So they apply for the text amendment and then you approve it and then they come back and apply. And they can choose to do that for the actual, if you wanted to go the conditional use route. I don't know which way you're all thinking. So that direction today would be kind of helpful of like, yes, we think this is something that we should continue forward, or like, seems interesting, but staff, it'd be good if you were asked, these are the kinds of things we're concerned about and to think about.
So the animal hospital
It was
veterinarian or whatever.
They're
that's-
separate.
But that's because it's technically like,
no boarding.
We specifically have an animal vet clinic in there, and the definition of it says that you cannot do commercial boarding as part of it. So, when a dog is sick and they're at the vet hospital, if you're paying for it, you want to get them home from the payment part of it pretty soon. And
Right.
so the dogs aren't going outside and standing in the yard. They're, being cared for a health reason. So that's why they're handled separately.
I know they got a little
Cart area.
Yeah, they have a
area
little
behind
area.
there, but
Yeah.
I mean, I go to Jubilee a lot, but I don't
Never seen a
see
dog out
any,
there.
see any issues with
And
it.
they
Yeah, and where I had lived before, there was a animal hospital and they offered boarding. And that was a whole different conversation. You'd come in, you'd board your dog there, just like a regular boarding facility, but we specifically have it written for you that it doesn't include that, just because of the proximity to all the residences.
Okay.
So that's why we wanted to treat this one and have this community conversation and make sure we were thoughtful about it if it was ever going to be entered into in the city.
Okay. How are you guys feeling on instructions to, or
I'm
just
not-
debate it on?
There's a lot more to learn about it and variables and resident neighborhood input, but I'm not against it.
I like the business concept. I think it'd be an excellent business in our community, but I'm not sure about this site in the community.
Okay. You guys?
I mean, I like the concept, I like dogs, my dog doesn't bark, but I do find it annoying when a dog does bark incessantly, and I know there's ways to control that and ways to help mitigate the noise. My opinion is this is a very noisy area to begin with. I'm not sure, I haven't gone out there and stood around to see. Obviously, as a homeowner, I would be concerned. But I think, this is an opportunity for us to bring in a viable business that can provide valuable services to some of our residents. I know, I don't typically have someone that I don't take Dakota to have her boarded anywhere. But we are in an environment where it's extremely cold in the winter, and I don't want to go stand outside, But this would be a nice resource to be able to take a dog and let it go play, or, get some training, additional training. Maybe Molly could learn not to bark at everybody. But at the end of the day, this is a viable business, and we want to support businesses. So I think we should look forward, move forward and try to see what we need to do to make amendments and changes and control that.
Okay. Councilmember?
Yeah, I like the business model as well. I think I would feel more, it would definitely address, that area could use some facelift down there. So that would be attractive. I'm more concerned about the residents at this point. We're obviously looking for great businesses, and this business model is a really good one. And this is, I know, early in the stages of design. So I'm sure if we did cup or whatever we decide, we could make some of those decisions in the conditions.
Yes, for sure. Yep. As I said, the only thing we worry about is it seems like a great business model. There's no guarantee if you move forward that's what you'll have. So then we need to try and craft conditions that make sure that other people that may apply with a similar idea are headed in the same direction for the protection. And that's the challenge of how do you write that in a way that does that. But I'm hearing that's the challenge we're given, potentially.
Well, I kind of echo what you said too. I'd love to have a new business, love to, have more people driving through Mound every day. But it does really worry me with the barking. I'm really nervous about the barking. And, if I'm the neighbors, in that area, that would get me. So what I would maybe suggest, and I know you probably don't want to spend a ton of money on this, but until you get more of a green light, but, I know other places have done like noise studies, and they sit out there with a decibel reader or whatever. I'd be curious what that would be like. What is a dog's decibel? And then that road is loud. I know.
It's loud.
And I was just on it and I was stuck because there's a semi-truck
We got
backing
semis,
up into
buses,
the
yeah.
thing, and I was, we're talking about, 50 cars a day. I saw 50 cars before I could take a left. So 50 more cars doesn't bother me. The parking, I think we can work that into the CUP, but the noise, not even the smell bothers me, because I don't think you're gonna have we have dogs. I'm not worried about that. I don't think that's gonna travel. Now, the dog's dander or whatever might travel, the smell of that, like a chicken or something, but I don't think the waste, I don't think is.
Well, and he's not gonna have a viable business if he doesn't keep it clean. I'm not gonna bring my dog there if it smells bad and there's
Right,
dog
right.
stuff
Well,
everywhere. That's a business decision on his part, but.
the biggest thing that gets me is the noise. I think, so if somehow you can figure out how to remedy that, and, as you're going through the process of, going through planning or whatever, but, I don't know, almost maybe, I don't know if people in the area want to drive all the way down to your other location and just, feel it out, or maybe have videos of like, here's an hour worth of video, this is what our location looks like, so.
Yeah, I can prepare something like that, and that was my first thought. I'm actually taking a note to do
Yeah.
that, to do a decibel test, maybe during the farmer's market this Saturday, when people are around and things are happening.
Yeah.
To measure that sound.
Yeah.
And also the fencing company that specializes in the sound, it's not soundproof, it's like noise absorbent, and it, has some acoustic features too. They're gonna sell it the way they sell it, how good is it?
Right.
So I'm sure they have decibel, at least I can ask if they have, some of the technical specs of how much it impacts noise.
I just think if I'm a resident in that area and I bought a house and then all of a sudden this comes in, I need to feel really good about those answers personally. At the same point, thank you for coming out, and we want to see new businesses and,
You know,
you
thanks
know,
for giving me a chance to.
the whole
share.
work, so, I think we're kind of going the CUP route if he wants to apply, is this what it sound like?
Yeah, I mean, we're not
Versus-
saying, we've had the same kind of, since it's been a few years now, but we've had different applications in the same format where we recommend people to just don't move forward with, you know,
Yeah.
X, Y, or Z, but I don't think that's the case.
I don't think we're saying don't, but I'm saying, you know, I think for me personally, like, I'm not voting for it if I can't get convinced that if I'm gonna be in the neighborhood, you're just gonna hear barking all the
The
time.
noise side of it.
It's just
sure.
not gonna fly for me personally. I think it's noise and parking is the two things that I wrote down
Okay.
out of this whole thing. So if you can convince us that that's not a problem, maybe you got a deal here, but,
Okay.
remember, this is a council introduction, so you're just literally just kind of giving us your, you know, kind of first shot at it. You know, technically, people have come back a second time as like an introduction, just to say, hey, I answered these questions, you know, do you think I should go forward? We never really give like an okay, like, yes, we're gonna approve it. Obviously, you gotta go through planning, and then you gotta come back to us again, and then we would approve or deny it, but, I think a couple times we've seen people that have come back.
What time would you like Molly to come over?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll
just
talk,
kidding.
Jason.
I'm just
You know,
kidding.
I
I'm
will
being
help you
funny.
with her, and it'll be great.
All right.
House call.
Well, anyway, that's all we got for that. So just work with our staff and they can
Okay.
kind of direct
Yeah, I
you.
think those are really rational expectations, given the nature of what we do, and it's not really precedented, it's not what most places that are categorized like ours are like, so I'll do some homework here on some of these details about noise and, you know,
And again, if you'd rather come, just talk to us quick before you spend a lot of time and energy and money going through planning and the whole works. We'd love to have you back out.
okay, yeah, I think I'll do that. I'll try to do some homework on these really good points that were brought up and get more specific, you know, details using our first facility as like a, you know, as a foundation, so,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, we're gonna move on. Number 8 is Mound Business Flagpole Concepts. Is she gonna take that? Hey, welcome.
Hello.
How are you? Nice to see you.
I am good. My name is Pauline. I am the owner of Minuteman Press in town.
Yep.
2361 Wilshire Boulevard, Suite A. We're located right in between the American Legion and City Hall. And actually, this past June, we've been running that shop for 4 years. So we've gotten to know the community, the businesses, and just kind of the area. So one of the reasons why I'm here tonight is just to kind of talk about the Boulevard Banner Program with Mound.
Yeah.
We've talked with Kathy a couple of times. Kathy has seen a few of our concepts. And basically, we just wanted to give you an introduction to the concept and answer any questions that you have. And then also, we have some design concepts that we want you to review
Yeah.
and kind of give us a direction of where you would like to go with the program.
Okay.
Okay? So with Kathy's help, the banners themselves are 30 inches wide and 80 inches high. We print them on an 18-ounce blackout vinyl, high-resolution, double-sided graphics on both sides of the banner. There's a 2-inch double-stitch pole pocket at the top and the bottom where they're attached onto the light poles. And then each one has brass grommets to keep the banner in place because of wind and shuffling of the wind and the banner, just so that they don't fly off.
Right.
The imprint size on the banners are going to approximately be about 30 inches wide by 20 inches tall, and that is for business logos or a business imprint their name. The banner concepts that we have come up with, they would be up for a full year, so 12 months, and then they would be switched out. All of the cost is based on businesses and people sponsoring a banner. In order for the program to be successful, when we do identify the banners, the poles that we do want to start with, and I think Kathy and Ryan, a great suggestion was to start in the center maybe and then kind of work our way out a little bit. to see what kind of a reaction we get from the business owners, what kind of support we get, because we really need the business owners and the community to support the program in order for it to be successful. If we don't have that buy-in, the concept won't work. So we ran the program in Spring Park. We're starting our 3rd year, and it's been successful, and we've had some really, really good feedback from Spring Park. So we're hoping to bring that over into the Mound area.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to make sure that you knew is that we just don't take a pretty photo, throw it up on a banner, and say, this is what we have for this year. We really look at the area. Who are the people? Who are the businesses? What is the feel? You know, what do we want to do with the banners? Why are the banners there? You know, it's just not a pretty picture. So we put a lot of thought into the concepts. Spring parks are completely different. Mounds are completely different because the areas, even though you have a hard time telling when you drive through one and into the other, the areas are very different. So I'm going to hand these out to each one of you. And basically, there are 3 concepts. And if you just want to take the concepts and lay them out side by side.
Thank you.
I think I've got 10 copies. I've got a couple of extra here. Okay, so the very first one at the top of your pile is basically, the theory behind it is community, family, and fun. And one thing that I've really got to appreciate about the Mound area is the people. The people are amazing, the people are down to earth, the people are very, very creative and very business oriented. So that was one thing that kind of really stuck in my head as how do we define Mound? What is Mound all about? So that's kind of where that concept came from. So in here, what we do is we have kids running and playing. We have a group that could be young adults sitting down, enjoying themselves. We have potentially business owners, maybe corporate, maybe, you know, older population. And then at the yellow, we have a retiree couple with their walking their dog. So basically, it's really a cross-section of a community, and a community that is basically, it's all about family and fun. It's a warm, welcoming area. So the second piece of paper that you have in here is more about lake life. And there's only one because you pretty much with concepts, you can have one design repeated, or you can have variations of designs repeated to give it a little bit more color and a little bit more depth. But this is also another idea. It'd be the same banner, the only difference would be is different businesses would have their imprint at the bottom, but it would be the same one all the way through. The third concept is taking that same lake life, but then adding seasons to it. So we're taking the same image, but we're putting a few different colors to it. And basically, it's just another idea or a concept, but really what we're looking for here tonight is kind of a direction that you want to take the program in so that we can go back and take that concept and move it forward. So I guess right now I'm looking for your feedback.
Okay. Does council have any feedback?
Well, one thing I want to mention too that might help manage everybody's expectations is Spring Park's banners are almost 7 feet high, and we don't have that height. We only have 50 inches, so, you know, I'm just trying to help you imagine that ours will not be as in your face as Spring Park's, because theirs are really, really tall.
I thought they were 30 by 80. Did I mishear? Is 30 by 50? Or 30 inches wide?
I think it's 22 by 50, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Well, I've never been able to see the Navarre ones, but that's just my vision issue. Question I have though is, how many Mound businesses have signs in Spring Park? Because I know there are some Mound. I know.
Right, there are quite a few Mound businesses that have sponsored a Spring Park banner. And the reason they've sponsored a Spring Park banner was because at the time Mound did not have that program.
Well, yeah, I understand that.
And then
yeah.
also the traffic that goes through Spring Park on a daily basis in the morning. You know, we all know the traffic levels at different times of the day right through Spring Park. So that's also another reason why the Mound businesses have sponsored those banners.
I really like the third, like the third page and like the different seasons and stuff, but is there, I kind of wish that like our logo was on the top instead of just like Mound, or is that on purpose?
We did that on purpose so it wasn't competing with the business that's going to sponsor it.
Okay,
So,
like you don't want the City of Mound logo on top?
right, because basically what happens then, it just takes away from everything else that's going on, or there's too much going on visually, and you don't see anything on the banner.
Okay. 'Cause
So
like
it's really a
Spring Park,
design.
I know like I know they're huge, they're a lot bigger, but like I think that most cities, it seems like they have their city logo on the top and the business on the bottom.
No,
But
not necessarily.
So Spring Parks, we only put their name on the side, and we don't put their logo on it at all.
Okay.
Because it's too much visually from a design perspective. There's just too much on the banner.
Okay, I figured the city logo wasn't on it for a reason, I was just kind of
Yeah.
curious. But I
Yep.
like the last page, I guess my personal opinion, better
Okay.
than the first one.
Okay.
I like that page too. I don't love Mound curving over the sun. I
Okay.
think I'd rather just see it bolder just on top, you know.
Okay.
And then
easier
I'd
to
like to
read.
see springier. You know,
Okay.
like springer, but I like this too, and I like that you're allowing a lot more space for the business logo.
Yep.
I think that's gonna enhance them wanting to buy in.
Oh, the third
That's a
page?
little bit of my concern with Spring Park, because they really don't have a whole lot of space. You know, and if I were a business, I'd want to maximize my logo. So I like that you've amped that up.
So like the third page gives more room,
Well, it's almost like a third,
yeah.
a little over a third, rather than,
Do you know the size
it's
That-
22 by 50.
that Spring Park has for this?
Well, you would know.
I don't have the dimensions with me, but they are a little over 6 feet tall. They're huge.
No, I mean, just for like the business logo part.
The imprint for them, it is bigger than the 30 by 20. It is bigger, but I don't have the number. I don't know it offhand.
I guess I think what we're saying is, yeah, there's the miss there. I think maybe not bigger is better, but having it so you can actually read it when you're going 30 miles an hour.
Right.
Because like even that, like, you know, I'm going through them and I'm like, eh. I mean, they're beautiful, I love them, but like miss being a little bit bigger, like for us, like I think is good.
Right.
Like-
So what happens with the imprints is it really depends on their logo and their approval of the logo.
Okay.
So before we actually go ahead and printed that, we sent a proof with the logo to the business. The business gave us we want it bigger, we want it smaller.
Okay.
You know, I want it this color, I want it that color. They approved it, and then we went ahead and we printed it.
Okay.
So a lot of times we're taking, you know, what does the logo look like? Is it vertical, is it horizontal?
Right.
What was approved? What does the business want to see?
Okay.
So we take a lot of that into account. And naturally, because of size, location, direction, speed, some logos pop really, really good
Yeah.
and others don't. And it's just something that we deal with, but we work with the business owner on a case-by-case basis. And in some points, we even recommend the business owner don't put their logo on it, but put their name of their business on it because we can get it bigger and bolder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you do Wyzetta's or no?
Nope.
Okay.
No,
good.
Wyzetta has a complete separate program that they tie into their chamber.
Chamber.
Thank you.
So I do love Wyzetta's
Thank
as well, but I like yours because it's a bigger, I can actually read it.
Yes.
Like, and I'm sorry, but if I'm a business, I'm like, I want to be able to like actually see my business name on there. So like,
Yes.
you're actually going to get business out of this, or why are we even doing
So,
it?
Yes.
my question is getting back to Spring Park and Mound. Do we think that Mound businesses will do banners in both Spring Park and Mound? Or are we going to be stealing back our businesses from Spring Park to come to Mound?
That's what we're gonna find out.
We'll see.
You're gonna win.
That's what we're gonna find out, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, Spring Park only has like 20 banners, and we would have 100, up to 100.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the other question is, I mean, is there a potential of having too many?
We did talk about that
Yeah.
a few times.
And
You're gonna be
because,
spaced
and
out.
because also, as I look at the streets, you know, from, which I see sort of our center, Commerce and Lakeshore Drive being the center, and signs emanating. Well, once you go west of Commerce, it's only one block before you hit residential. And I suspect we won't go into the residential areas with the banners. And the same thing when you go north on Commerce. You've got one block to Tonkawood. You might have 4 banners in that area. But after that, it becomes residential. Now, Commerce going south and Shoreline going, what is that, east, you know, there's more length and more commercial. So how do we balance that?
I think the banner holders are already there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking
We
about the
did
banner
get the,
holders.
Oh,
I'm just saying that, you know, do you put commercial banners in a residential street? If I have a house on Commerce, you know, past Tonkawood and Elm, do I want a business banner on the pole in my neighborhood?
Well, the identified poles, I worked with Ryan, and they're all, I mean, obviously, starting after the bridge on 15, and then
Yeah.
110, but none of them go into the residential.
Yeah, those don't. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you get to the intersection at Commerce, when you're going north from,
None
Shoreline.
of those.
See, that's where I live,
None of those
yeah.
were identified
yeah.
on the
So we're
poles.
looking at really just 15,
Yeah, and
Okay.
110, going up to the school.
going up to
She's
the
talking
school.
about Jubilee to
Well, see,
PDQ.
yeah, going up to school, you're going to
Oh.
residential area.
She thinks that's a residential,
Oh, yeah.
which it is, because they're both
Yeah,
sides, but it's
those are
still,
indicated, but a lot of those poles are out of, they can't be used because of visual impediments like trees overgrowing or whatever.
it's like
So-
after the library or Grandview, they're just.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're,
that's
some
what
of
I'm
those
talking
are
about.
already taken out. But
Yeah.
again, as Pauline mentioned, you know, starting at the interior, moving out, focus on that, and you need to have X amount of
Yeah,
businesses.
see, I can see 15, because that's all commercial, it's open there, the trees to encumber, but I just do have concerns about into the more residential areas, putting the banners. And I know you all like number 3, to me, 3 is too busy. And if I was a business, I don't know that I'd want all that busyness. You know, the colors are bright and everything, but still, I think it's just too busy, too many things in the design. But I do like the business being on the bottom.
Okay,
I think that it's more noticeable and readable if it's on the bottom.
okay, thank you.
I think the only comment I have, I like the look and feel of this. I'm concerned about this seasons thing because I get what you're trying to do color-wise and everything, and graphically, but I'm not sure that that's going to get, I think to Sherry's concern, it does get a little busy. And we're not going to be changing these seasonally.
Right.
So,
we're not.
no, I thought
Well,
they were
they're
going
up
up and
for a
they're
year.
stay up for a year, right?
Oh,
Yep, they're 1 year.
So it's not like we're gonna put them all up and they're all gonna be summer. And then during the fall, they're all gonna be fall. And then during, the winter, they'll be all winter. And so it will get very busy if we have all these different colors.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna have a rainbow going on down, up and down
And
the
what
roads,
what
which-
happens when the Christmas decorations go up?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna get a little bit crazy.
she's
So you
talking
want
about,
something
you're
like
talking
more
about doing all
neutral?
4 of these at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought
See,
it
I
was like
this,
quarterly.
But I
no,
notice
No.
these different
Okay, yeah, I don't like that
things
either.
may be.
No.
No, I mean,
All right.
I get, when you have one standing alone here, this graphic looks great. I'm like, how do we keep it simple, simple.
So, like,
You know what I
maybe-
mean?
Well, this is gonna look a lot simpler.
Up, yeah, I know, when she
Up.
held it up, yeah,
You're just gonna
definitely.
kind of see waves. Like, I like this concept, maybe if it was a actual true images with, you know, like a duotone or, you know, an actual image rather than just a line drawing. You know, maybe a black duotone or mesotint or something of an actual picture of people in Mound.
Which one are you talking about, the first one?
This one.
One on the front, where it's showing
You know, I
activity.
think this has
Yeah, I like this
I
one
think
too,
this has,
but I think it needs depth.
a lot of potential.
Yeah, it's a little less busy.
It's a little less, but if the lines were maybe a little thicker or something, so there were more definition.
I don't really like the line drawings, but maybe you could go back to concept stage and maybe try a couple that are actual photographs, you know, that are just overprinted over the color.
Okay.
And the line drawing to me feels,
I like the
nice.
community and the
I like
family
the
and the
community
fun,
too.
because, I mean, movement is always important in graphics, and, you know, I think that kind of creates movement, and they'll bounce from, you know, from pole to pole, you know.
and I'd almost like to see it flip, because I do like
Yeah.
businesses on the bottom.
I do, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have to have family in every single one, or can we do a family, a picture of like the lake and a boat, the picture, you know?
Yeah.
Do 4 different themes instead of
Just
all.
community, right?
I mean, family's
Just
great,
simple.
but.
It
we
might
need all-
depend on your business too, like a grocery store might do family, whereas
Right.
Harrison Bay might do the seniors, and, you know, I don't know,
Well, I
whoever.
think the project is up to you to sell. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
just asking for us to kind
giving
of look at the
feedback.
concept and then run with it.
Right.
But I kind of like this one too, but I don't like the line drawings. I'd rather see something a little more graphic. This feels kind of, I don't know, 19, not a fun vintage.
Okay, okay. So one of the reasons why we didn't put actual photographs on is because then we get into the controversy of age, race, occupation. I mean, we get into so many other
Yeah.
variables that in a community, we're trying to stay in the gray area so that the feedback that we get is we love them. They're wonderful. We can't wait for the next concept for the following year. So that was one of the reasons why we kind of went away from actual photos. But we can go back and put actual photos in and then bring it back and have you take a peek at it
Is
if
it
you would
a-
like.
or is it like a silhouette type thing, where it's like, for example, the seniors with the dog? You know, if you flipped them around and you saw them from the back, then you erase the, you know, you can't really tell what age they are, and the dog isn't, you know, biased.
Right, but then you're looking at their tushies.
Yeah, exactly.
They kind of look old, they're a little bit
Put a
overweight.
coat on them so you
Or
can't
waves
see their
and boats.
fishies.
I like the waves and boats.
Yeah, and the
I
boats.
agree, the waves and boats better,
Yeah,
focus on the big picture community, but.
yeah, the community, and I think, you know, throwing a few in with family, I mean, to her point, Jubilee's gonna want a family.
Family,
Yeah.
yeah.
But they won't really have a choice.
Like the creamery might want kids, you know?
You know, I mean,
Depends
once
on the graphic. yeah.
Colleen
I'm
puts
gonna want
the
one with
program
cats,
together,
Jason's
it'll be
gonna
up to
want
her
one
to
with
sell
dogs.
it to the,
I think they look good, though. I like,
Yeah, I mean, I like that.
it'll be nice to have them
I think they're
out.
going in a good direction.
Yeah. So the other thing is, so Spring Park, did you notice the banners of the first year?
No, but I noticed they were like the bonfire-y, kind of like the seasonal change.
They were, we went with primary, red, yellow, blue, and green.
I
Okay.
loved those.
Crayola
Those were so
color
nice.
Yep.
primary colors, and then we staggered them through. And we did that on purpose the first year because we really wanted to go out with a bang. We wanted people to notice them as they were driving through. The second year, we decided to go with just one image, and that image is repeated through all the way, and it's a little bit more subdued. It's the green Adirondack chair with the fire and the stars in the sky.
Yeah, look good.
So if you kind of remember back to the first year and then going through now with the same image on all the banners, you kind of get an idea of what this versus one kind of looks like. And you're kind of, that's probably the best way I can explain or maybe jog it in your memory a little bit.
Yeah, because they can always be changed too, like as time marches on. I mean, we're not like locked into one design forever?
No,
For a
we're locked
year.
in for 1 year
For a
though,
year.
for 12 months. Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the primary colors. I mean, I think it works well with our flags, and since we've got the US flag flying, that are gonna be not competing, but, you know,
Okay,
primary colors are clean and concise.
okay. So then what I'm hearing, I want to make sure I've got this correct. So we like this concept?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
This
you know,
one?
if you go back to that Saigon,
I don't like it.
I don't like it as it
But if you
is,
look
It's
but
visually, yeah,
Okay.
it's-
you know, if you see
they're very visual.
something
They
like
don't-
that instead of all those line drawings.
I like that.
Is
I just,
that-
this
You know,
thing here,
with
the
like
Saigon
color
thing
and
she's
then the
got
big logo.
on
Yeah.
her phone.
Yeah, I like that more with.
So that
Well,
has
it's
no,
this one.
that's no
Oh, yeah, that
figure,
one.
that's
Yeah,
just a.
I mean,
like that
I could see
graphic.
going that direction, because then you're really just seeing color and
Yeah.
an implied happiness from activity,
Okay,
I
but
like
you're
that
really
concept.
focused on the
Plus, you
the
can
logo.
use this to do even mound things
Right,
or,
right.
you know, like half the boat, sailboat, you know, that kind of
okay.
thing.
I am a little worried about the picture thing, and seriously, you probably all don't get the emails I get, but I know I'm gonna get an email. I just know it. So if,
About the pictures.
well, if we pick, it doesn't matter what it looks like.
Yeah.
Someone will say it
Oh.
doesn't look like me, so.
Well, no, but I think no one was supporting the pictures, right? And
Well,
she
no,
was
they
saying
wanna
that
do an actual picture.
we wanted to
Well,
move
I
away
mean,
from the lines.
not an actual picture, but an
Yeah.
implied
Yeah.
movement. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
people of Mound, just an
Okay.
implied movement. And as you said, the back of somebody walking a dog on a trail.
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, I mean, this graphic that you just showed us on the phone, which
Yeah,
I
I
know
mean, it's
everyone can't
just-
see, it's nondescript. It's not.
You could
Yeah.
have a graphic of someone walking, a bicyclist, you
Yeah,
know.
or a
It's kind of
biker.
like what you'd see
At
at
the
the zoo.
back of them,
you know?
but not showing any.
Looks like a leopard, but it might not be a leopard. It's a zebra, you know.
What if they're 6 foot versus 5'5"?
Well, the whole world is taller than me, so I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying, I'm just saying,
Well, I think we'd all get a lot of
yeah.
Yeah.
emails. But again, it's a vetted interest of you to
Yeah.
make sure that
Sellable, yeah.
you make people
What
happy.
was the one you were showing?
Well, I was just saying,
She
she
knows
like
that.
just an
Yeah.
implied,
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
rather
Not a
than
fan
a
of
line
it.
drawing.
I do like your other
I do
one
like that. better.
Yeah,
with the lake.
because then
And
you're
I,
just
and I
seeing.
think we
the
want
logo.
the mound to be on there, we don't want it to be
Well,
done.
that and then the other one.
We want the business.
I mean, I like that the best probably.
This one?
Yeah, like the.
Yeah, I like those better.
I like those a lot. I think the waves are a little aggressive, but
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's
You
too
know,
much,
choppy
too many,
day.
too many
I
things.
don't think we have white caps. Well, sometimes we have white caps.
But when
You're
you're
at a
far
distance,
back,
so
I know,
you're
I
just, it just
Yeah.
implies water.
I think those are great.
Yeah, I do like those a lot.
Yeah.
So we're kind of
This is
split.
just-
Well, we only need 3
Yeah.
votes, so which side, who's likes what?
So what concept do you want us to work a little bit farther on?
I think
on
the
the left.
primary.
Your left or my left?
I'm, yes, but I don't think me and Sherry are on the same page.
No, we're
I say
not.
yes to that one.
Okay,
Because it's too many colors, it's too confusing.
No,
You have too many things to try and focus on.
Okay,
And you're
so
driving
you-
30 miles an hour. You want,
it
You
just
want
says
the
Mound
names.
and this is the logo of the business.
you want the business name to pop out.
So I say
Mound
left,
Secondary.
Sherry says right.
right,
I
said
prefer more
left.
color
left?
myself. I like all colors
Like the
because,
primary.
you know, if we have, well, you'll decide how many we have, but I could see either one of them being graphically appealing,
Okay,
really.
Yeah.
okay.
When you say primary, what do
Just
you-
go a
what is that?
different
See,
direction.
my
instead of
limited vision, I can
So
read that
red
one, I can't read
yellow.
that.
Red, orange, yellows.
But do you like left or right?
Color-wise,
What do you want her to work on? So she comes back with some other ideas.
I want Saigon.
Saigon.
I
Well,
think,
send it to her.
I
She
think,
knows it, she knows
I
it.
think that side could be really easy on the eyes, just because you're gonna see color,
Yeah.
a graphic, and then the
Cleaner.
logo.
Okay,
Can
Okay.
we
So-
tone down the left side a little bit? So it looks more like the right side, but keep it waves and,
yes.
okay.
So I have
So
a
Scott
question.
hasn't said
Who's
anything.
talked to the
Well, he's the attorney,
businesses
so yeah,
about
I don't
this?
Oh, he doesn't get involved.
No.
You'll hear from me.
Yeah.
Unless you're infringing on copyright, he's not gonna.
Yeah, so my question is, we're talking as a council about this as ornamentation for the city of Mound, but the expectation is that our businesses Is anyone, do we have any sense? Are they interested in this? Are they willing to do it? And what's the launch date? Is it 2026, June or
I think that's, I mean,
She
January?
says 6 months
Find
from
out.
last time we talked, right?
Right. So when
Roughly.
we started Spring Parks, it took us really 6 months to do the legwork to. It was a lot of education for the businesses in the community, and then also working with the Spring Park, the City Hall also. And then also we were into the program for the first time before, and so we made a lot of mistakes. You know, in that process, we corrected mistakes. We re-engineered a few things a couple of times. We ran a test. We actually printed some test banners, hung them up for a period of time to make sure that the material was durable enough and that the area wasn't too windy. So that process took about 6 months really before we could really launch and really sell the banners. And when we did launch it, the businesses really responded to the designs that we had kind of introduced to Spring Park and what they had accepted and approved, and we moved forward with it. They really resonated with them, and they absolutely loved the idea and the concept. Being that now we have 2 cities side by side, we don't know how the businesses are going to respond. We don't know if they're going to stay with Spring Park because of the traffic, or if all the businesses are now going to come to Mound because they're actually located in Mound. We don't know.
But there's not that many.
It's only
Mound for Spring
16 or
Park.
20 poles.
There's quite a few.
There's not that many.
So,
She knows.
so yeah.
Well, I'd like to know the number, but I don't think there's that many as I drive down the road.
Okay. Well, then
Correct
that's a
me if
good
I'm wrong,
thing.
but
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I think
then.
there's many of Mound residents or businesses left to prospect.
Oh, my gosh.
There's a
Point.
lot.
And I like
Yeah.
that you have an understanding of what you've done in Spring Park, and maybe there'll
Yeah.
be some nice collaboration between the two.
Well,
Also to make them look completely different than for each year,
Right.
you're
And-
pitching.
So Spring Park has approved theirs. And do you want to see what they're doing?
Sure.
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 is it public?
It's
Did they approve it
approved.
like in a live meeting?
It's approved.
Yeah, they
right?
approved it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
Mike
good.
approved it.
Mike or the council? Okay, whatever. You're
So
sure.
I
Those
like
are
this, I
fun.
like this.
Yeah.
Well, the mayor can't operate alone.
So
Simple
this is,
graphic.
this is,
No, she said Mike,
Oh, yeah.
not Mark.
this is much cleaner.
Based on their
I don't like the colors.
This is kind of the segment that
I get it.
go with Spring Park.
I like this concept.
Cool.
Yeah, see, I like that, the wagon,
Because this is where
the,
the logo.
it's sort of, the bicycle, the dog,
Like Molly on
the
that.
fishing hook, those are nice.
Just need one that has cats on it.
I'm not a cat person, but it's okay.
Well, you didn't see the picture that Debbie sent me?
So, yeah.
All right, well.
This is very well done. I do like this. I like the colors.
Simple
The
graphic.
simple graphics, yeah.
Thank you.
Guess
And
this is-
then,
This is more my taste, but that's just,
Yeah,
We were originally saying that in Mound, no offense to Spring Park, but we want Mound businesses.
Yes.
On our polls, we don't want Spring Park
Right,
or interest, we want Mound,
correct.
yeah.
So we do get businesses that are located in St. Bonnie, or they're located in Watertown, or they're located in Long Lake. So are you telling me that we can only accept Mound businesses on Mound
That was
banners?
the original intent, right? Is that we want to help Mound. We're Mound City Council, we're not Spring Park, we're not.
so is it businesses
But there is a
or
benefit to having
others?
a
'Cause
beautiful
like-
banner with our logo on the pole.
Like Gillespie has a banner in Spring Park.
Yep.
Would
So
we
does True
rather have
Value.
them come
I
to
mean,
Mound?
emphasis on Mound businesses, but it's
The
like
whole
we,
point of
But
this
they're not
is
a
we want to
business, they're a
support Mound
nonprofit,
businesses. We
yeah.
don't want to, I don't care about St. Bonnie.
but wouldn't you rather have a banner
I
up?
do, I love them,
Well,
but
you would think.
this,
But our
the point of
mission
this,
statement is to
this is
support our
Mound, so,
commerce. Right.
yes, does that change something for you? Can you prospect enough Mound people?
It does change, because then if anybody outside of the Mound area
Yeah.
wants to sponsor, I would have to tell them no.
Right,
But they could sponsor one in another area if they
Spring
wanted
Park,
to.
yeah.
I would rather still allow other businesses to do it so that we have banners up versus being like, well, if you're not in Mound, we're gonna have just the banner holder empty, you know what I mean?
You know,
Well,
we
no, that-
launched a
that won't
program,
be the
Buy
case.
Mound. We
Okay.
launched a program to
You
buy in
won't
our
sell
community. I think we should
that way,
stick with it.
you know.
I want to stay with Mound, personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to come, you know, if it's just failing, then whatever, but we can readjust, but I think we stick with Mound first,
Okay,
and then hopefully sell them out.
okay, okay. So then what I would like to do is I would actually like to go out and talk to a bunch of Mound businesses.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we found out over the last 3 years is that before they will sponsor a banner, they want to know what the banner's gonna look like.
Yeah.
They want to actually see an image.
For sure.
So before I can go out to the businesses, I need a direction.
Yeah, I think we said left.
No, you said left.
I got 3 and 2 if Scott doesn't vote.
Oh. Who's saying 3 and 2?
I like this one, but I
That's not-
can't copy it.
that's
Yeah,
I mean,
but you
I like
could do
this
a
direction.
similar thing with an illustration or an implied image with just a simple graphic.
Like a stock
Because
image, like these.
I like a simple, big graphic
Okay.
as opposed to
It's busy.
everything going on there.
Okay.
So make one a lake, make one a
Yeah,
kid
yeah.
on a bike, make, you know,
Okay.
a
You know,
cartoon.
Yeah.
Our parks,
Make one,
maybe.
you know,
Yeah.
do
A
4
farmer's market booth.
Right.
event, yeah.
farmer's market, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't love the colors on that one. I'd rather see it in the greens, oranges.
The primary.
Yeah, just something
Primary
that's
colors.
clean and
Okay.
easy to read.
Okay. So I'm hearing lake, farmer's market, boats,
Bikes,
bikes.
bikes and like maybe a picture of the like a black, trail, you know, like the path.
Okay. So bike and trail would be on the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a bike going on the trail, like, in other words, Dakota Trail.
The big things we have is the bike, we have the farmer's market, we have celebrations, you know.
Spirit of the
Special
Lakes,
Lakes,
you could do
Spirit
like a
of the
firework
Lakes.
one. Firework banner.
Okay.
Yeah,
No boats,
fishing,
fishing.
yeah.
Fishing boats, I don't know what,
Okay.
why would we not
Would
do
you
that?
prefer fishing or would you prefer a boat?
A boat.
Boat.
A boat.
probably.
Okay. And then you would prefer a boat over lake?
Yeah.
How about a boat on a lake?
Okay.
I prefer simple, like a graphic that just, you right away understand what it is, it makes you happy.
Just
And
no.
it feels
no
like
s-
Mound.
No surfboard boats.
Well, I think a lot of people would love surfboard boats, but I wouldn't get that
Yeah, it's destroying our lake,
intentional.
though.
I would keep it a lot more.
I get
All
it.
right, so you're gonna work on that, you're gonna come back one more time?
If you want me to come back to the council and pitch the new
Kind of
idea.
the final, I think we should approve the final.
Perfect.
Before you start
And
going.
hear what you're
Okay.
hearing from the businesses.
No, she's gonna get a final first, and then she's gonna go to the business and say, hey, we can do this with your logo on it,
Right,
and then get an indication.
right, because one of the first things the businesses say is what are they gonna look like?
Yeah.
Yeah. that's
So
the-
you're gonna get that first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for all your
Thank
time.
you.
Thanks, Pauline.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys have a great evening.
All right, see ya. All right, number 9, we got MS4 presentation. Thanks, Brian.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Brian Simmons, your senior city engineer. Good news, this presentation doesn't require you to make any decisions right now.
Okay, all right, that's good.
Yes.
Are you sure you don't want our input on the color?
We'll get to it. You know, I'm an engineer and we like our acronyms. So Mound is an MS4. That's what we're doing here tonight.
That sounds like a gang member to me every time I read the MS4 thing.
Sounds like,
Well, if I could go back and strangle whoever the state
Well, I know
regulator was
it's
that came
not
up with
your
this.
intention.
You
of it.
have an
Municipal-
MS4
Winter break.
tattoo.
Yeah. Actually, it's on my license plate out in the parking lot. Municipal separate storm sewer system. There's a couple of ways that a community becomes an MS4. Mound is, well, we would be regulated as an MS4 two ways because of the impairment of the lake and because of our proximity to the metro area. And the third way is that a community can be petitioned. And so there are a number of MS4s in the state that are required to do what we're doing tonight, and that is to hold a public meeting about all the things we do as a municipal separate storm sewer system. At the end of this presentation, we will hold an open forum in case there are any comments. Actually, do we need to convene that as a hearing? Justin? I believe we do, don't we? Yeah, it was noticed as a hearing. Yep. My mistake. So that will officially be a hearing that we will need to open at the end of this. And I can obviously stand for any questions.
Hot topic.
So that's where we would get input, if there is any. And then the bulk of this is intended to be education on where we have been, what we are doing. I've heard it a couple of times tonight. You've heard it from me before at this microphone, but one of the things that we are, as a community, is stewards of the lake. And that also means stewards of the rainwater, the storm water that falls in our community is conveyed through our storm sewer system, or in some cases could be discharged into our storm sewer system, and then in almost all cases in Mound eventually ends up in the lake. Go ahead, Jesse. I kind of covered this already, but Section 208 of the Clean Water Act establishes MS4s. I don't know that it establishes the acronym, but here we are. And then as a community there, Mound meets the requirement of an urbanized area. And then another acronym that we like to throw at you all the time, BMPs, Best Management Practices. That is intended to encompass sort of the ever-changing and ever-evolving things that we do in an attempt to be that better steward of the lake and of the water as it passes through. Sometimes that is things like the SAFL baffle, the St. Anthony Falls Laboratory, the devices that we put underground, the things that we do to capture the first flush, or the things that we do to capture, floating materials off the top of that stormwater as it passes through the storm sewer system. So best management practices encompasses both some of the maintenance activities that Ryan and Dustin and their crews do, as well as things that we engineer and install as part of the city's projects, or we require development projects to install as well. A SWIP, a stormwater pollution prevention program. That is also a requirement. A SWIP is a term that gets thrown around a lot. Both we have one as a citywide, and then anytime someone performs construction, including ourselves, we have to have a SWIP for that project or for that disturbed area. So there's a lot of rules around SWIP, the regulatory mechanisms, educational programs, but things for reducing and eliminating that pollution or conveyance of sediment, things like that, into the lake. So our commitments, the things that we are required to do and report back to the MPCA, public education and outreach. That's part of what we're doing here tonight. Also, some of the things that are in the newsletter, some of the things we have like Carlson Park and that educational piece over there with the storm sewer system and the little educational signs showing what the different pieces of that, there's like a rain garden there and an above ground treatment area in Carlson Park. The public participation and involvement, that is also part of what we're doing tonight, is soliciting feedback. We put this out here on an annual basis. And then also the illicit discharge detection and elimination, that is something that we are always on guard for. Usually that is Public Works executing on that, or Public Works in conjunction with engineering. Construction site stormwater runoff, that is executed through our permits, a little bit with Sarah's help, and also a lot, again, with Public Works and engineering. And then post-construction stormwater management, ensuring that piles of dirt get covered up. Things get off to a good start growing, and we don't have lots of bare dirt being washed away. And then the good housekeeping for municipal operations, making sure that through our own actions, we are not inadvertently discharging, like having the fabric structure over the salt storage for the winter salt that we use for plowing. That is one of our best practices. That's not required of us. However, if we let that pile of salt sit there and get rained on, it would get a lot harder to use. And also, that would wash a bunch of chlorides into the lake, and that's very bad. So it's a good practice for us to not allow that. I mentioned the newsletter. Also, presence at Spirit of the Lakes, where I'm sure a lot of people got to see those boards we had out there. That's been a very good educational opportunity. Keep going, Justin. This annual meeting, the cleanup day held in May. Also, it's mentioned a little further on in here, but I know there was a lot of conversations that were had around the rain barrel program. I know there's a lot of education that has happened. People that surprisingly got into that, purchased those, and when they showed up to pick up the rain barrel, they got a side of education with that. You know, they got to learn how they were participating in this program along with us. So the illicit discharge detection and elimination sort of deputizes us as the city to observe and report and assist in, essentially, I'm going to say prosecuting, but I don't mean that in the Mr. Landsman sense of the word, but trying to prevent those types of, illegal things. Those are great pictures that just, I hope, make everybody cringe, with the guy with the oil can, right, pouring it into the catch basin.
Is he
And then
barefoot?
what's that?
Barefoots in the oil.
Yeah, there's maybe more than one thing going on there.
It's one of those,
Also
like,
not-
the longer you look at the photo.
Yeah. Well, I have notes, for sure.
Those your
Also,
feet. Those your feet.
not a live picture from Mound either. Stock photography, thank goodness. But training the public works staff to identify these things. If we see an oil slick in a storm sewer, we're going to investigate. And so following through on those things and trying to identify that, report it, and prevent it. Ultimately, the goal here is prevention. Construction site runoff. This happens in a number of ways and in coordination with Minnehaha Creek. A couple of examples there. You see some biolog in the bottom picture and some silt fence in the upper picture. I'm sure you all are painfully aware of those devices because we've had them all over town at various times when we're working on our own projects. We also have to execute by example here, and our own city projects always have a fairly strong component of erosion control, but also we leverage that onto other contractors doing things within the city. And so then we provide inspection of those. We also provide, Bolton Mank at least provides you all inspection services, both of our own construction projects and construction projects that are executed in the city by others. And we're looking for that, erosion and sediment leaving the site, looking for, stockpiles that need to be covered or have turf established so that they're not washing away. There is actually a certification for that. I finally let mine lapse, but we have a whole fleet of people at Bolton Mank that have that certification that usually do those inspections. The post-construction stormwater management is really the follow-up from those construction activities, making sure that things that were designed to meet water rules for the watershed, such as offsetting lots of pervious area, they require a certain amount of treatment in stormwater, or trying to bring a site back to pre-development conditions in terms of how much stormwater we release. So depending upon the size of the site and what is possible, sometimes that's a rain garden, sometimes that's a sump manhole, sometimes it's nothing if it's a very, very small site and it doesn't trigger any of those rules. But we also inspect and follow up on those things, and those practices are sort of inherent in the city's permitting processes and in the watershed's permitting processes. Requirements for post-construction stormwater have increased. This has gotten more and more strict. The current MPDS permit requires retention on site of a volume equal to 1 inch times the new or reconstructed impervious surface. So when I first started doing this, it was pretty lax, and that is starting to become a decent amount of volume. What that means is that when we take an open green piece of property and we develop something or we build something, we now have to capture that volume of 1 inch of rain over that, multiplied times the impervious surface. And that's not a small amount in some cases. So that's a fair amount of stormwater treatment that is happening on site and that we are integrating into city projects. So right now, as we're wrapping up the design for the water treatment plant, we are looking at ways to integrate that into that site. Minnehaha Creek has similar rules. Yeah, I'm good, Jesse, you can stay there. So pollution prevention, good housekeeping. We do a lot of things I think that are specific to lakeside cities, when we decide to sweep and how often we sweep streets or how often we are directing other contractors to sweep streets. So we have what we call an enhanced street sweeping program. Some of the other, snow management stuff about how and when we remove snow or how and where we use salt is very important in relation to where the storm sewers are. Having that training to all of the public works staff or available, even if they don't have the certification. And then, just the things that are part of conducting public works that might seem sort of mundane, that actually are required by this process, but Ryan's guys would do anyway, like pumping out the sump manholes that collect that sediment. Talked about a couple of those in here before related to specific areas in town, but that activity is required of us as an MS4 and to execute on our SWIP. So the system assessment, improvements and maintenance, they require that we are constantly assessing our system, looking at its efficacy, and, anywhere we are building something new, trying to integrate these practices into those. So you've heard us talk at the microphone before during storm sewer projects or street projects about whether or not we can integrate inline treatment or those, the SAFL baffles, those types of things. And then, again, that maintenance on the system is also part of this. Looking at what condition are our storm sewers in. Are we conveying storm water, or are we just spreading it all over the place? We want it to go in pipes that are in good condition, that aren't cracked, that aren't leaking, that aren't causing an issue at the shoreline, or allowing sediment to be transported downstream and causing a plume into the lake, even if it's naturally occurring. So the program history, there's a couple of fun stats in here. We have 141 outfalls. So an outfall we classify as a storm sewer outlet from a system to the lake. So that could be 2 catch basins across the street and then a flared end section going out to the lake. That can be a whole neighborhood worth of storm sewer that then has, a 56-inch pipe or something like that going out to the lake where it ultimately outlets. There are 18 separate sub-watersheds. That means that there's 18 zones where water would come to a low spot in Mound, and into 14 different lakes and bays. And so then as part of our capital improvement plan projects since 2007, we've repaired or replaced 60 sump structures. And a sump is where we added some extra depth to a manhole so that the pipes that are going out leave some space where it's like storage inside that underground structure. And that's going to capture some of that sediment. It also gives us a place to pump it out from. The 9 hydrodynamic separators, those are those SAFL baffles, those inline devices that use velocity to sort of spin the sediment out and capture it in a chamber. 2 pervious pavement lots. Pervious pavers are a device to capture stormwater and reduce the effects of, impervious pavement where it just causes runoff. Instead, we're capturing that through the pavement. 7 bioretention basins, 2 dry retention basins. So those are a form of rain garden, I'll say. Bioretention is just a fancy word for rain garden. And then we have cleaned or reestablished 10 swales, ravines, ditches, whatever you want to call them. Those are overland flow conveyance that we have cleaned up, whether it has filled in with sediment or plants have started to grow there and then collected more sediment. But those are all things that have been done in the last little less than 20 years as part of this program.
It'd be kind of fun to see a map indicating where all this is.
I like that. I'm sure I have that
You
data
probably do.
somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't have it in this slideshow now, but I can get back to you
Yeah,
on that.
that'd be kind of nice to see.
Do I have until next year? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I'm
We
just
can get it
thinking,
sooner than
when you
that.
have fun facts, it's
Yeah.
nice to
Yeah.
visually,
I'm a sucker for a dashboard, right? Like a map or a dashboard, one of the two.
yeah, I like them too.
Yeah.
I would agree, I'd like to see a visual, just because of the interaction with the park system
Uh-huh.
and the location of all these different,
Some of them might surprise you. They might not be where you think they are
exactly.
because of how they work.
Yep,
And then some of them where we have systems that are very close to the lake.
yep,
Where it's like, oh, this would be a great place to do this. We don't have enough vertical separation. So it's like, we would need to be a block or 2 away
right.
to do some treatment. And so then we do when we can.
Well, this would be a really great learning
Yeah.
lesson.
Absolutely. This is part of our public outreach.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe next time we'll offer popcorn and see if we can fill the room, but
Well, and I don't think the community has any concept of how many pieces of property the city owns, and a lot of it goes towards maintaining this, which is, to protect the lakes.
absolutely. I mean,
I think that would be beneficial to the whole.
Well,
When-
we've learned a lot from that, just in discussing the perks.
Yep.
How many of the properties actually are for stormwater management?
When Sarah sends out the request to vacate, ends of right-of-way where we have streets that dead end at the lake,
Yep.
I just blanket say no to all of them because I'm pretty sure they have storm sewer in them. Right off the bat. It's not always true, but almost all of those are a no thank you because we either have something there or we've reserved it for something like that. So the next 2 slides are just some highlights of last year and this year's program. But a couple of things I want to highlight, we had, this says one residential development in 24, but I feel like out on the island, we also had another one. So that stat might be wrong. But we participated in the Adopt a Storm Drain statewide initiative where they have a registry of people that adopt storm drains. I want to say that the city's participation in the Harrison Bay Rain Barrel Program was the second or third year. And I know that that continued again this year, and from everything I've heard, that will continue, and it's fairly popular. I don't know that we've hit everyone yet that wants to buy a rain barrel, but that's okay. That's one way of capturing that first flush, and we'll continue. Bolton & Mank also sponsors that, participates in that, just because we feel so strongly that that's a good way to help the community. In 24, we installed a filtration basin at Surfside Park. I don't know if any of you are familiar with where that is alongside the sidewalk, getting over towards the old depot. And then we continued, our maintenance agreement between the city and Minnehaha Creek for BMP management, so we always partner with the watershed district. Jesse, we hit the next slide. A lot of the same things in 25. We participated in that infrastructure installed at the end of Enchanted Lane with the 2025 street reconstruction project, again with the Rain Barrel program. A lot of the same things. So just hitting some of the highlights of stuff we've done in the last 2 years. And then this is a good picture of the Jennings Storm Pond cleaning. That was one that I don't know if anybody made it out to 3 Points while that was going on. I was out there a couple of times while the backhoes were actually swinging, and this site was kind of a mess. You can't see it real well on this projected picture, but in your packet, you can kind of see where the inlet and the outlet to the lake were just absolutely buried. This was a pond that everybody did not realize was a pond in the neighborhood because it had almost ceased to exist. But I can tell you that it had ceased to function. So we've since reestablished its function, and a couple of other things that we encountered in 2025. There were 2 illicit discharge cleanups. So that means that there were spills that were identified along with their source. I don't have offhand exactly what those were. A lot of times they're oil or petroleum. But when they're caught like that, then the MPCA also knows who to hold responsible for the cleanup. So in 2026, we plan to do, again, some of those same things. We will continue to integrate storm sewer and stormwater management as part of the 2026 street and utility project. We'll continue to identify those locations where we can use some of those more sophisticated devices. And all of these bullet points really just pound home the commitment of everyone in this room and Mound as a community to be those good stewards of the lake and of the water that goes to the lake from the city of Mound. So future program needs. We have a need to assess the existing ponds. Ponds are not a completely static thing. Unfortunately, they do start to fill in. They do need maintenance. And we have a handful of ponds that we have built in the last 20 years, or ones that we have inherited from older housing developments and things like that, that there is actually a state requirement that we start analyzing their efficacy and looking at how much capacity they have lost. So that is something that we will be bringing on the engineering side to start to evaluate the existing ponds. We have had some projects in the past to look at outfalls and their condition, and that's something that we do on a regular interval. So we'll also be starting to look at the ponds and their capacity. We'll continue to do the inspections and the documentation and the reporting like we have in the past. We'll continue to train public works staff and make sure that the city, both public works and engineering, are able to execute on the city's stormwater pollution prevention plan. And I already mentioned the ponds and outfalls there. So this slide says questions or comments from you all. I don't know if there will be a bunch, but the next slide after this is to open the hearing, and it'll open up to questions and comments from the public. So I will stand for any questions that you all have.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Brian?
I just have one question on the ponds. When you talk about the efficacy of them, does that mean at some point they need to be dredged again, or talked about?
I'm not going to use the D word. They do need to be cleaned. Yeah. Yep, they need to be maintained. And so
And
usually
how do you clean them?
that looks like the picture that you saw on that one slide where it was a backhoe. So actually removing the vegetation, removing that, usually it's filled in sediment. It starts to look like, really nice.
Sludge.
Yes, sludge or dirt that's really nice for something to grow in because it's got some organics and it's very loamy. It's not real compacted because nobody drives there and nobody's really done anything there. But so we'll remove all of that and then put some vegetation back that's, the term my guys like to use is tolerant for wet feet. But we plant things there that can handle being wet and dry, or a combination thereof, so that it can get established, so that those banks stay in place and then the water enters and leaves as we want it to. And then, eventually it'll get silted back in again. It'll carry some sediment in, but that also means that the ponds are doing their job. When they're getting filled with sediment, it's capturing it there and preventing it from being carried to the lake. So while it may seem.
Since you haven't, it sounds like in the past, really had to do much inspection on them?
We haven't had to measure the capacity for a while, because most of the ponds were not gathering a lot of sediment. It wasn't significantly measurable. And now it has been long enough that we need to take a closer look to make sure that we're meeting our state requirements.
And the cost of the budget for this?
I believe we are
Effort.
already performing some of this under the engineering tasks that are in the budget. This
Okay.
is not a budget ask.
Okay,
And these are also not huge, heavy lifts.
okay.
When we have all the information on the pond already, it's easy to go out and take a couple of depth measurements and say, obviously this pond is, starting to fill up. It's lost 2 or 3 feet of capacity, versus we take a couple of measurements and we say, this is pretty close. We're only off by 6 inches. We're going to mark this one as, we'll come back and check it next time.
Interesting.
All right,
Any more questions?
no? I think we're good.
Excellent. Then I turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thanks.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Brad.
it.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna open a public hearing. If anybody wants to talk about exciting MS4. Oh, we got one. Can you give us your name and address?
Tyler Piper, 5504 Church Road. Thanks for the presentation. Just had a couple brief comments. I live on Church Road at the corner of Church and Belmont, probably mixing up how those go, but the apartment complexes nearby, maybe this is just a question on residents and how we should contact city council on this, but they installed, it appears to be like a gravel driveway that their cars are using, and every heavy rain, there's just probably a mound this big of sand that just runs along the storm drain. And so just didn't know what would be the appropriate way to kind of flag that. Is that a violation, or are you guys aware of that? I guess that was just my first concern, I guess.
Possible violation, you should contact City Hall.
Okay, great, I will do that. And then Tycho, I think it was what Kathy said, I would love to see the map presentation, just because overlaying, whether it's from parks and opportunities to incorporate more rain gardens or things of that nature, or just to understand where, even for residents, there could be opportunities for us to help out on an individual level, if my yard is sloping off and contributing to that. And then the next question I had would be on metrics, in terms of, do we have a breakdown of, is it even possible, how much water is emptying storm drain X versus storm drain Y? Is that something that is factorable, or?
May I?
Yeah.
No, I don't mean to keep you off. I want to make sure my response to the microphone, so it's recorded. So, what you're talking about, like the idea of measuring the amount of stormwater coming in and out, it is theoretically doable, but it would require us to measure flows in so many places in the city that it starts to become a little ridiculous financially. So while we can do that, we do that on a project by project basis when we are trying to look at excessive flows, or we are trying to look at reducing flows from specific areas. We will use that to look for, primary contributors, or is something. We also do this in the sanitary sewer system, when we think that the sanitary sewer system is collecting clean water when it shouldn't be. So yes, we do that, but I do not have whole city metrics for you, simply as a function of there are so gosh darn many catch basins and so gosh darn many pipes in town. Does that make sense?
It does.
And I don't know exactly which programs are currently active, but there are some county and watershed-based programs that go on and off at different times that actually will help pay for, like if you wanted to put a rain garden in your front yard, they will give grants to homeowners to do those kind of things, to defray the water that's running off of your private property.
Well, and we are executing a grant with Hennepin County. Stormwater was one of the purposes, so have selfish question as the grant manager for that is, would we be able to measure potentially in the spring, say like one one storm drain that's, I'm talking about Edgewater Park, for example, but that's a very steep hill leading down to the road.
Sure.
Would it be possible to, target one and then maybe get some before and after results so that the city could see, is a project like this actually financially helping us in terms of stormwater, or is it maybe overcooked in terms of what it's delivering?
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. I will also challenge that in addition to volume measurement, one of the metrics we look at is what's removed.
Phosphorus and nitrogen.
Exactly, you understand what we're after. So removing phosphorus and nitrogen and sediment, turbidity, those types of things, increasing the quality of the water. So attempting to release less and make sure that the water we release is cleaner is both things we're after. But it is possible for us to measure that.
Well, that's all I had, so maybe I can follow up with some more detailed questions later, but thank you.
All right, thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you for good questions.
All right, anybody else? All right, hearing none, I'm gonna close the meeting there. All right, we're gonna go on to number 10, Centennial Building Facility Study. Who do we have here?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Brian Simmons, Senior City Engineer. I want to caveat this with, this report should have a draft stamp across it. That's on me for not making sure that was on there. The file was called draft, but of course you don't see that. But it's not signed and it's not certified. So what we have in front of you is the result of the investigation that we've done to date. And I think you all are going to have perhaps some direction on where we go from here. And so what's in here, I don't know how deep we need to go into the Centennial Building, but we went through the building, top to bottom. We identified about $280,000 in deferred maintenance or things that have been getting worked on but have been deferred. So it's stuff that Ryan's guys are aware of or we've planned for in the CIP. But just looking at number one, what would someone who, if we wanted to consider the building for sale, what would they be looking at? It's not necessarily money we would need to spend if you do want to consider the building for sale. And then, Jesse, would you scroll a couple to the floor plans?
That's assuming they keep the building as is.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It just considering the building in its current form. And then we did some scans of actual City Hall. We've got information on this, but we started to dig into what would it look like to reconfigure portions of that building, with its remnants of having been separate fire and separate police, and then moving the City Hall operations in there. There's a bunch of, I'll just go ahead and call them sort of awkward orphan spaces in the lower levels that were as a function of operating police that could be reused a little bit better. And so we started to look at some of the available space that's down there. Jesse, we scroll to the next one. That's the spaces that are identified on there. Some of those are things that need to stay, and some of those are things that could be reused. And so where we're at is we've determined what the existing uses are of this building, and I'll just sort of boil it down. Aside from the tenants, really, we have this council chamber space, right, is really the most important use for the city. And then the thing that we have not gone very in-depth into that I expect you to ask me about is how do we recreate this space somewhere else? And that is one of the questions I think that's in front of us. I put some very big round numbers in this report, anywhere from a couple $100,000 to a couple of $1 million. But the question becomes, if you want us to include this in this report, and if that is what we would consider finished for the facility study, I would need to know what that looks like. And I'm not asking that question just yet. I want to flip through a couple more pages. But I'm putting that out there as we've gone a little soft on this. That's why I'm calling it a draft, because we would need some input. We don't want to just assume. So what I've gotten there is a range of anywhere from reconfiguring the existing fire meeting room, so adding some simple AV so that we could, recreate the recordings, sound recording, stuff like that. Everyone having microphones, to raising the roof, creating a very similar space with a raised dais and raised seating, and having, sort of a very nice, vibrant council chambers. So we have not put cost of those things because there's a number of details that I think we'd be looking for direction for. Jesse, will you scroll a couple more? Those are all the scans. There's we show the couple thousand square feet there of the fire department meeting room at the top of the other building. I'm sure you're all familiar.
So pause on that. So that's
Yeah.
1,429. I can't-
25 something. It gets a little
Okay, so
fuzzy.
what is this? Only this part?
I don't know that I have a direct comparison, but it's got to be pretty close in terms of footprint.
Yeah, because your other thing says 2,500, but you're talking conference room and hallways and stuff.
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So just so people know that, it's probably pretty similar, but I'd love to know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we've got it in the footprints, the
Oh,
floor plans.
Okay.
Jesse, will you scroll to the sort of the summary at the end? So I don't know that I want to spend a lot of time on these observations about this existing building, other than I think this was a good exercise. You know, we went through some of this stuff, there's some water damage and some skylights and things. At the very least, if we do nothing from here on out, we have a very good roadmap for what we were going to plan for over a number of years, obviously, but what we're going to plan for in terms of how we would maintain this building, assuming we keep it. One other thing I want to mention, yeah, stop right here. Were we to separate this building from city ownership, we are currently on all one parcel. So
Yeah.
skate park, Centennial Building, the other building, the actual city hall. Yep. And so we would need to do something with the driveway. There's a couple of options. We could leave the driveway space on a privately owned, or a city-owned parcel, I should say, and then we could dedicate the driveway as an easement, then the city would be responsible for it. We could turn it into a dedicated public street. The city would still be responsible for it. We could turn it back to a future owner of a separate parcel that this building sits on, but then we would need to have an easement for city purposes to access the backside of all the apparatus parking and the underside of the garage. But the long story short here is all of these things require some, surveying, time, some platting, and recording. And so all in, I've got a number in there, probably of about $15,000 just to work our way through all of the land issues to set the Centennial Building on its own parcel, assuming it's Centennial plus its parking lot, make sure that the skate park is still city-owned. It'll be sort of orphaned off to the side, but it'll be a separate parcel. So we would need to plat all of this to address those things. A couple of comments in there about, roadway width, if we were gonna go public street and stuff like that, but not super critical. We would also need to consider how we would end up zoning this parcel, and whether or not any of the future uses would be hindered by the existence of the parking lot. That's sort of an open book, right? If you were to consider it for sale, what exactly would happen here or what your expectations are. And there's so many different paths that could take. The existing building is probably fairly well served by the parking that's here, but also that depends on the use within the building. And so how we would want to zone that and set that aside for sale, or if really what we're expecting is somebody comes in and bulldozes it, then maybe you assume the whole site is a total loss, including the parking lot, and they would need to reimagine things, and then maybe the buyer would help direct the future zoning.
Right.
But these are all considerations. So there's sort of a summary. The deferred maintenance adds up to about $288,000. And I don't want that deferred term to sound like we've not been doing things in this building or that Public Works has been doing their job. They have. These are just things that we have identified that are systems that really, to Ryan's crew's credit, they've been keeping operational when they are sort of at the end of their useful life. And so we want to make sure that we've called those things out that, hey, this stuff is still working okay, but it's going to need to be touched in the next couple of years. So we've got a dollar amount on that, plus that other consideration for platting and land rights of $15,000. So that's kind of the summary. I don't know if any of you have any questions or you want to go back and delve into some of it. A good portion of the report is a little bit technical on the condition of this building and the uses that are in here, and just trying to make sure we did a good job of summarizing everything that's happening.
I think you did a good job of this building, but I guess I was looking for more as, how do you put this over there?
Sure.
And
Didn't you
are
give
we,
the round-
are we okay with it?
Wasn't like you said, really round number, but it was like $500,000 to $4 million?
Yep.
To sell this.
No.
No.
To make the improvements, to put this there.
$500,000 to put this over there?
So that's where I'm looking for guidance, right?
Minnetonka Beach does their council deal on a coffee table.
Yeah, and that's so unprofessional. Like,
Yeah,
I
well-
definitely don't want to move
You need a
backwards in
dais
that
because you
regard.
can't see or hear anybody if you don't. And we
Yeah,
already have
let's
that
quit
problem.
trying to be like everybody else and set our own standards.
I guess I
I'm
was
just,
kind of,
not that I want to do a coffee table, I'm just saying, we don't need to spend $500,000 on
a deal
I mean, I
just to
think-
put our
Raising the roof,
thing
I
over
don't
it.
understand why.
If
that-
only, I
yeah,
think it'll
mean,
be a
those are
lot
all
more
things
than
we've had
half a
to-
So
million
just remember how we
dollars.
got here. This is
Yeah.
Councilmember Larson and I's pet peeve that we were trying, why do we have this building? We keep maintaining it. We're treading water, which is fine, you know, more or less. Like you said, 288 eventually, but we also, you know, could use extra money for big water treatment plant we're trying to do.
It's hard for
Um,
me to like,
Plus, what are we ever gonna use this for? And we're not gonna grow our way to use this again, ever. So yes, we have it, we're quasi-government, you know, and we're renting it out for them, but I can reimagine this as bulldozing it and having a townhome development or, you know, something else here, potentially. And I think we have to think big picture, you know, outside the box on this.
You haven't experienced the sirens every time they run out of here. You wouldn't want to live here.
People live right in the neighborhood and they love living there, and I know
They were
them.
there before
And talk to them.
they were there before the station was.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear them, we hear them every day across the lake. Everything
You hear them
echoes.
across the lake, I hear them a block away.
Well, Mound's 2.2
So-
miles
Yeah, I
across, so
know.
we all hear them. So
Right.
anyway, what do we want to do about this? If I'm barking up the wrong, I mean, Larson's gone, so it's just me now, or are you interested in this or not?
Well, I started coming in, as you know, very enthusiastic about
Yeah.
it. We have so many needs in Mound, this feels like it's really at the bottom of the barrel for me now. To do it right, to do the cost, and again, I'm the same as I was on our first meeting about this. If we end up with $50,000 to $100,000,
We're
it's
not,
not
it's
worth
gonna be
it.
a lot more than that.
Well, I understand that,
Yeah.
but remember our,
Just like the conference table thing, I get it, yes.
yeah. So I could go with it if we think we can really sell it for a lot. But I feel like it's maybe something that doesn't need to be fixed right now, but I can really go either way, and I don't generally feel that way. I usually really have a strong opinion, one way or the other.
I think to the mayor's point, you know, I've got buy-in. I think it's, you know, an asset that we're not using and it's costing us money. And how do we accommodate what we use it for today, which is city council chambers? What's it gonna cost us to get that implemented over there, and how much future growth as far as space do we need for city staff? Those are all what ifs. And, you know, what type of cost? I mean, when you said pull off the roof, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Why would we do that, you know? But there's always circumstances that dictate that, so I don't know enough to know. Why are you saying rip the roof off and put a new roof on? You know, I mean, what does that mean? Add another story? Why? Do we need another story?
You talking about over it there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No.
For
If
future
anybody's
staff.
done a tour, we don't need any more room. We have too much room over there.
Okay.
We have more room we'll ever need, ever.
Well, and that means, you know, then what's the cost to move what we need over there? That's, to your point, what does that cost? What are we looking at?
I think what we need to do is.
$500,000,
We
you
need
know?
to have a contractor come out and say,
Yeah.
thing one, if we moved over there,
Mhm.
what does that cost? Get it 3 beds, right? Bed it out, see what it can cut, you know, to redo this, basically, you know, a different version over there. We have elevator.
So an architect
We got
or,
stairs.
yeah. Okay.
Well, no, you get 3 contractor bids and say, this is what our vision is, give us a bid on it.
So,
And-
Mr. Mayor, if I may, what we've got is this report is not quite finished, right? We had a lot of in-depth discussions about this, where I said, you know, we're sort of in making recommendations mode, right? What is the minimum amount that gets it done? And then what is maybe the wish list, what we'd like? And every single one of those conversations sort of ended in like, this would be a better discussion to be had either with, you know, you or Jesse or, you know, the council as a whole, but what are the specific things that should be included? Because this will be signed by an architect. Like we have a whole architecture group, and they were the ones coming to me with the questions that I was like, I'm only comfortable with so much of this before it goes beyond me making recommendations into, I don't want to reimagine what the council wants. So when I talk about raising the roof, this space in here is about 2 stories tall. That space over there is not 2 stories tall. So it does not fully replicate the feel in here. And you know, that's where we got into the questions of what type of space do you want it to be in? So when you say we could or could not necessarily meet around a coffee table, right? The question becomes, I can help you cost estimate it, and we could even design it, you know, if we wanted to get a bid package. That's what the architects are all spooled up for. We brought in some laser scanning equipment. I don't know if you were around when any of that was happening, but we scanned all that other building, and this is sort of an annoying thing that I go off and I do when I'm not working on Mound stuff. So I brought that in and we ate the cost just because I think that's really cool. So what's in those floor plans are actually 3D laser scans of the existing building. We did that because I know there's a whole bunch of weird block walls and things in those bottom floors
Yeah.
that I think we can reconfigure and create some other usable city hall space. But that upstairs room is just sort of a big open space that kind of works as a meeting room, could be easily reconfigured as a basic level council chambers. But I guess the question I'm looking for guidance on is, if you want us to include a more specific cost estimate to take this study from draft to final, I need to know kind of what the priorities are. And if we're not prepped to have that priorities discussion, or we need to have that in a different way, that's okay.
We've been having this discussion for
That's
2
fair.
years, so
That's
we
fair.
need to finish this tonight.
That's right.
Was that what you estimated to be about 15 grand?
I think,
Great. Well, we need
Was that the
direction
To this
tonight.
15,000
point,
came in,
though, what
like
are
it
the
would cost
requirements?
us this
Do we
much?
want
No,
a
the
city hall that you walk
15,000
in
would just be
and
to
have
plat this
an
parcel
open
so that you
format
could
where
sell
we've
the
got a,
Centennial Building
Okay.
separately.
welcome center.
I guess like one part that's missing for me is I love all the info that you put together here, but without knowing how much, like it's like 4 acres, you know, just shy, and if we, I don't know, just for the sake of math, like say divide it in half, and then you have the city hall building, the fire station, but if we were to sell
Sure,
the half with this building, like without knowing the value of that,
sure,
I feel like we don't really know what we're getting.
sure.
So
So
I'm kind
I,
of with Councilmember McEnany, where it's like, I could go either way, because I don't know how much we're getting.
yeah, so
I would
I,
rather spend 280 maintaining this building and just keeping it than, you know, over $1 million easy on doing something over there.
yeah, I think the cost of that, to get into some of the things we have in here, sort of balloons kind of quickly, and that was why
Yeah.
I put some big round numbers in there, but also those are just an estimate.
Yeah, I'd rather spend the money maintaining this and then just keep the asset of the land, but if we know, if we have, like, don't you think you guys would rather have that info too? Like, what is this 2 acres
already did
worth? But it was like a crazy
This is
range.
Buddy.
He did it.
It's like 500 grand,
I
The
think,
other thing I would like to know is, how old's that building over there?
25.
It's paid off mortgage though.
Yeah, so we're getting to the point where we're gonna have to start replacing
Right.
stuff over there, and how much of that process to make it suitable for what we need it to be would incorporate, say, replacing the heating system? You know, so that's also general maintenance and aspects of that. How does that play into, you know, what is it gonna cost? But to your point, I mean, without a vision, we don't, you know, I mean, what do we want it to do? You know, and what are the needs of staff? I mean, how, you know, is it functioning correctly now? You know, and I feel like when I go in there, Kevin's all crammed in the corner and he's, you
Yeah.
know, lurching back behind the wall, and it's like, okay, that doesn't seem right. You know, how do we improve that workspace for them as well?
But that's not, that could come later. The whole point of this whole thing is this building right now.
Right.
Do we want to keep this building? The only reason we have this is because we just kept it. We never got rid of it. We never
Knowing what I
moved
know,
on
I'd
from
say
it.
well, I
get
think
rid of
that
it,
just
but-
because you want to sell it now doesn't mean it would sell now. And we haven't really thought about a true concept. There's the piece of, yes, let's get rid of the building. One, we haven't really ever asked the staff, what are their expectations of staffing needs for office
I
and
did,
numbers?
I asked our only employee.
Well,
I'm sure, I hope you would have too.
I
I said,
don't
well,
think
do
we
you think
got
I'm crazy for doing this? Do you agree
I'm
with
not,
that?
I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for a real report that says what they see is hiring. You know, the staff was cut back tremendously
Yeah, and
before,
we're not
okay?
hiring more staffing.
Well, we're not, maybe we're not soon, but maybe in the future we may need more.
Yeah, and if we do, we have plenty of room.
Okay, and, but I think, is there really plenty of room?
If y'all been over there, yeah.
I've been through the building and I disagree with you as
Okay,
to.
all right.
Now, granted, with the laser stuff, reconfiguring walls, there may be, but when I went through that building, there is not enough space.
Did you go to
for
the fire
growth.
department?
I
side?
went through the whole building.
It's empty over there.
I went through the whole thing
Okay.
with them.
We have a conference room in the
And
back
stuff.
that doesn't get used.
Yeah, but it's a small conference room, smaller
You
than
can make
that
that into
one.
office, got a window too.
Yeah. But
I think we gotta think outside the box,
But
though.
the
I
other
don't
thing
know
too is,
why-
what are we gonna have done with this site? We have to, this city, the reason, we're always admiring what everyone else has, and we keep wanting to do what other cities have, is because we've never taken the time to be really visionary and say, this is what we want to see in the community. So
What I wanna see
saying-
is this wiped down.
You
and I
want to see it
a
wiped
new-
down, what do
new
you want to,
development.
what's a new development? What kind of
A townhome
development?
development, a condo
Why,
development.
what if that doesn't work? And how does that fit into what we have already? We've got a skate park, we've got
What-
baseball
th-
fields, we've got a city hall.
This is what I would,
makes it
this is what I would
things?
say. You put up a little 2x4 thing over here with the sign on it, say, contact City Hall if you're interested, right?
See,
and
that,
then-
that's like casualty. That's what the problem was in Mound before. Everyone said, oh, let's just let the market tell us what to do. Yeah, so
Well,
you put up
you're
the
gonna
sign,
build
you
it? I mean,
let someone
someone's gotta
come and
build
tell
it.
you what to do.
Someone's gotta come. I've talked to a couple of developers that could be interested in it. So,
Well,
you know,
I
you gotta,
just-
we
I
gotta
just
get to the
don't think
point where
that-
we're willing to do something about it first.
I think it's still a little premature to just say we're gonna
So what-
sell it. I'm not against selling
Okay,
it,
so
if it makes sense,
what
but I
next
want a
steps will get us there
plan.
then?
What?
What next steps will get us there then?
The next steps
That
for us
would
to
get-
really,
Get you open.
to really understand what our expectations are as to what this site does, what this site could be with us gone, that's value added to the community.
So it's been 3 years, so what ideas do you have?
Well, I wasn't thinking about selling this. This was you, there was two of you
Oh, I know,
who
but we
thought
all
this.
talked about it for the last 3
We
years.
all talked about it, and initially I thought that it was, it's like a move to say, oh, yeah, we got some money and we paid off some bills. But it's not that much money.
Okay, you got-
Like
you don't
Kathy
know.
was
You
saying,
don't know what it is.
if we're only gonna net 100,000,
Who's
then why
netting
do?
100,000? We're not gonna sell for 100,000. That's not, that's
No.
ridiculous.
Well,
No, his report was like 500 to what? Couple
A million.
million?
yeah, but I
1.5 or
don't know that
something.
we
Well,
can.
and I mean, we can't
Yeah.
dictate, well, we can with zoning, I guess, but we
Right.
can't dictate exactly what a developer is going to do with it.
Right.
I mean, it's gotta be
Unless, well, we could if we
feasible
gave
for them.
direction.
We
Yeah.
can set out guidelines of what we're looking for.
Right.
And then
I
if they
mean-
want to do a deal, then we figure it out.
And under a redevelopment, when the city owns the property,
Yeah.
the city has a large amount of control over how the property is redeveloped.
Right.
Again, I'm willing to just let this go. It doesn't sound like
I would, I
there's
mean,
three
we
people that care about
keep
this.
doing
but
studies and we keep paying Bolton and Mank to
Yeah.
do all these evaluations. I mean, I think
We either got to do it or
I'm
don't.
on board to getting rid of it if it's not providing any kind of service or benefit to the community. And right now, I don't think it is. I mean, what is it doing for the community? We're
Well, we hold our
allowing
meetings here,
LMC
but we could hold them
Yeah.
there. So
And LMCD's renting some space cheap, and, you know, we've got the Historical Society, we've got open space all over this place. When I say this place, the city, that those people could all move into different locations. It's not a, you know, we don't need to be a charitable event and maintaining a building
Yeah.
that's not benefiting the community. I mean, it's not. And as a taxpayer, I mean, I don't think I'd keep a piece of property that just sat there and did nothing and cost us money, because to your point, we've got all kinds of deferred maintenance and issues, and, I mean, sitting here talking about putting a skylight system in. What the heck do we need with a skylight system in a building that we're not really using other than for meetings?
It exists and it's leaking.
It is. Well,
Yeah.
re-roof the thing and be done with it. I mean, we don't need skylights. You know what I mean? It's that kind of,
So one option would be,
Ridiculous
we, again, put it out there to the market and say,
okay,
does someone want to keep this just like this? If we're okay with it, and they could just buy this, and then they can rent it to the other government agencies that are in here.
then we're out of the property management business.
We're out of property management, we would do
Yeah.
some kind of, easement thing on the driveway, so we can get around there. And then we still look at the same building and fine, right? At least we're out of it, and then we get a check for blank, right?
That seems so casual. If we're
Yep,
gonna sell it,
that's-
then let's do it the right way.
Okay,
Let's
so-
do it with all the important information. Let him give us the cost on what it would take to give you your new location in the other building. And let's decide what we're gonna do about this street. Are we gonna keep the street or give a private street? And decide what kind of developments you want in this. And be forthful, but just to, it's like
I'm just saying that's
you're just
one
throwing it
option.
away.
The
I
other-
mean,
I'm not
I just
throwing
want us
anything
to
away.
be
The other
really
option is
thoughtful
wipe
about
this
it.
and put a new development here if, so we can get someone to do it.
if you can get someone to do it, but, you know, you need to also have if you just put it out in the market, then we're subject to whatever the buyer wants, versus at least setting the parameters of what
That's
we
would
want
do. We would
out
set
of
the
it.
parameters and we'd say, here's what we want out of this. I was just saying, option one is, if you want to just keep it, if that's what the council wants, and you just want to keep this building, and someone else could lease it out for business.
I think that all of us have said that we have varying levels of comfort, but that none of us are necessarily against totally selling the building. It's just the method in which we go about it.
Okay, so do we want to workshop this again? I mean,
No.
what do we
No.
want to do? Three of us has to
I
move
can
this
just say
forward one way or the other.
where I'm at, it's like,
If it's a kill deal and there's three of you that don't want to do this right now and you want to pause it, pause away.
I mean, we always had the
It
assets.
sounds like we got two that want to move forward on
Let's
this.
take a vote then.
Okay. Well,
I mean, dang it.
I mean, this land is always an asset that will go up in value, but like if we're only gonna get 500 grand, then I don't wanna do it. If we're gonna get like 1.5 million for it, then I'd be interested.
Let's just say you get it, we got, split it, 750 or whatever, right, hypothetically. And we converted that space over there for, you know, a couple $100 grand, 200 grand, right?
Well,
So
we
we'd
need to make sure we can convert that.
Yeah, that's gonna
space.
be really, it's gonna be
All we're doing is
expensive.
we're just pushing our council chambers up there, right?
Yeah,
Let's just say
I don't wanna sell
hypothetically.
this for 750 and then spend $1 million on the
Okay,
whole
so
thing.
then you just want to spend 280 to fix it and just sit on the property and
No,
just spin the
he
wheels?
just wants to make sure we need to get the bid.
No, that's what
we
he
need
said. He
I'd
wants
rather
us-
retain the land value and spend the money over,
For what?
you know, like how, just because this is in our CIP, doesn't mean we should, you know, spend the money, but like it's budgeted for in our CIP, so if we just keep doing what we've been doing and then sit on this land value until we really know what we wanna do, or
But that's the
someone else
thing, like,
does
this
at a
is what
later
we're
date.
elected to do, is make decisions, so,
I guess
if
I would.
Yeah,
we're
I
just
like
not
that.
ready to do it,
Yeah, I
then
would
that's
say
fine.
that I'm not ready,
Okay.
without knowing how
So
much.
you're not ready, you're not ready.
No, this sounds like the fire department
Yeah.
decision in Orono. You know, we don't want to do that, right?
okay. So I just got compared to the fire department, Normal, great. Okay, well, I know where to, so it's your call.
Well, I'm comfortable just letting it sit.
Okay.
And I also, if we ended up going over to the fire station, I wouldn't need anything outlandish. I mean, a nice table that we all sit at is, and I think you're going into the sound system and everything else. I feel like we have so many issues in Mound that require
We can
a lot of
chew and walk at
attention.
the same time.
Yep.
Jason,
That's
this
all I
is
do
where
every
you
day.
get, when you know you have on your agenda, you want this to pass, you don't need to be disruptive with us.
Okay.
I am not, and it's very unusual for me to straddle the fence on something.
Okay.
You know, if you put it up for sale, I wouldn't feel one way or the other, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, so-
I'm tired of talking about it, but
Me too. So
I
do we
feel
wanna-
that this land is an asset,
Okay.
and I don't feel like a big rush to sell it today, unlike how I felt 3 years ago.
Okay, so we're gonna pause it for now. So what do you want to do with your report going forward?
Nothing, we're gonna sign it, we'll call it final.
Call it a day.
You guys could put it on the shelf, we won't bill any more time to it.
Okay.
And then if you wanna revisit it, we have all of those things. We also have the digital laser scan and all that stuff. When you ask us to pull it out of the archives, pull the megas here.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next thing, number 11.
Thank
you.
you, Brian.
Thanks.
Brian.
Review, discussion, action on resolution 2587, amending a policy on appointments, reappointments to advisory commissions. You gonna take it, or?
Sure, I haven't been talking yet. I mean, this is really, as presented 2 weeks ago at the workshop, I don't think we changed anything. And if the council's comfortable with the new policy, we will pass the resolution, get it out there, and then one of the things too would be to turn around the vacancies in the upcoming commission spots for the newsletter to go out next month, and start planning on how we're gonna do the interviews, which should take place probably by the end of November. So, if there's questions between the three of us, we'd be happy to field them. Otherwise, the sooner we can get moving on getting this out there, that'd be good, because it's November next week.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, if it's the same as the way the workshop left it, I don't really have any questions on it.
I should note, what we did is we took that format that you had and we changed into a policy format.
Perfect.
I read through it and thought it sounded great. Covered exactly what we talked about in the workshop.
Yeah.
And I will say, it's a policy adopted by resolution. If, as we're going through the process, there's a determination later on that the policy needs to be modified, it can easily be modified.
All right, so we got a resolution. Does someone want to make a motion for that?
A motion to approve Resolution 2587, amending policy on appointment and reappointments to advisory commissions.
Okay, got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, that passes. All right, number 12, we got Councilmember Pugh.
Oh, well, I was at the Gillespie 25th anniversary. It was a wonderful celebration and recognition of the change and progress that the center is making. It was a great evening, lots of people there from all parts of history of it, and there was a nice overview about Gillespie, which really, once again, pointed out what I feel is the greatest asset we have in Mound is we have really strong volunteerism and people who are willing to commit to the community. When you think that someone leaves $500,000 and says, match my money, and he did. You know, we did that in this community. And that's why we have the Gillespie Center. So that was really great. Then I was with the mayor at the library, groundbreaking, which was really great. And what we need to understand is we are getting the state-of-the-art technology library in the whole Hennepin County. No one else is getting a building like we're getting, which I think also puts a challenge to us to think about what are our commitments to future energy efficiency practices and, you know, and stature to cut our cost in it. But the building, I think, is going to be lovely. And they saved the trees. Everyone was so excited that they saved those big trees on the site. So that was it.
All right. Councilmember McEnany?
The only thing I have is to remind people that they have just 3 days left to nominate their favorite person for Citizen of the Year. And that's it. And I was at the event with Sherry too, and they just did a beautiful job presenting the community and Bill Gillespie, and the dinner that the Legion put on, the pork chops on the grill was just to die for. They were thick and delicious and moist. That's kind of a weird, that's unusual for a big, thick pork chop. Anyway, it was really a nice event.
All right. Councilmember Castellano?
I don't have anything.
Councilmember Herrick?
I don't really have anything other than a question. We said we were going to write a letter to Met Council about the water treatment thing on West Edge. Did we get that done, or is that ready for us to sign?
I didn't put it in the packet, did I?
Nope.
But yeah, I haven't.
I didn't send you an email either today, so
A letter
I'll
to
take
Mo
responsibility. Yeah.
to continue
Well, no,
maintaining.
you were going to ask them to do away with all the weeds and come up with a grass.
Right. Out on the street side of the fence.
Yes,
I have a question
Yes, please.
to ask.
All right, that's it?
yeah, that's it.
And you don't have it here, right?
Right.
Okay, so next time?
I'll just, if you want, I'll just circulate it
Well, we got to sign it, right?
to you. Yeah, so, yeah.
Just bring it next time. I mean, they're not going to be
Or we
growing
could
grass.
stop in and sign it.
I mean, we got all
We're
winter.
probably
so-
all-
Yeah, whatever you prefer. Maybe, since it's already fall, just bring it in next time.
Okay, then we had another.
Well, I also thought, thinking about all the construction, because someone asked me, are we ever going to not have construction in Mound? But next year, we're going to have commerce under construction for the water treatment. Have we really talked with the businesses on commerce about how long that construction's going to be? Because that's going to affect some significant business. You know, I think about Surfside Restaurant and the store across from it, even though she's only open so many days. But Gillespie Center and them, and I think we should make sure that they're all aware. I know that there used to be insurance that businesses could get for what they call interruption of business, for lost sales, and if that's something that they may need to look at. So I think it's important that we have a conference with them and let them know what that construction period is going to be like.
Jesse, any thoughts on that?
Well, I think that it's gonna be, part of the process is just, public outreach. I mean, I don't know how early we start that, but we could start it, that could be over the winter even, and just,
I mean, we obviously don't know the dates yet, but
Yeah.
it's gonna, we know sometime next year, FYI.
yeah. But I mean, it's a long winter, we can host things during the day for businesses to come and meet here or whatever, and just lay out what we're gonna be doing.
Can I remind everybody too that the way that we're gonna construct that is not gonna be a huge open hole?
Oh, it's not?
We
Oh.
heard it's still one lane though.
It's closed down.
Could be, probably, yeah.
For
I don't know
about a
that
month,
we
that's
have
what
it.
you're-
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where Matt's at right now, but, you know, when we dig the pits and we insert pipe, you know, we're using you heard me talk about trenchless methods before.
He
We'll
did say
employ
that there'd be a lot of that, but,
We'll employ as much of that as we can to minimize the disruption, for sure.
right.
And the disruption will happen after Spirit of the Lakes? Or
Before or after, I
before,
think was
just to make
the-
sure that's not
Yeah.
in play?
I think too soon to answer, but you take an input, yeah.
We put it in there, in the deal.
I remember
to say-
Matt saying that it was like they had to commit to having the project finished before Spirit or not start till after.
Right.
Yes.
I just like to keep bringing that up.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like that, if we want, I mean, certainly been, and I know Bolton and Mink does it all the time, we just clear the chairs out, set some easels up with the maps, and just send a letter to everybody and say, come on in on a Thursday or whatever, and we could do it during the day into the early evening to catch people that are, maybe work here and travel, I mean. Yeah, I mean, right, so no
Yeah.
amount of information is too much, right?
Well, you could do that QR code thing, you know, around the neighborhoods, and all you have to do is get the phone and go straight to see how disruptive it is going to be for,
Yeah.
We
For everybody.
conducted a bunch of virtual open houses during COVID that I will say that concept has stuck around a little bit, for especially, you know, we've got busy families and stuff like that. It's just a way to connect with people that you wouldn't catch otherwise.
yeah.
Okay, LMCD meeting is tomorrow here? Here? 5 o'clock, it's like an open house, anybody wants to come there. I think it's 5?
They can tell us what they're gonna do about conserving our lake.
The other last thing is, we got that email internally from the attorney about the parks, right? And that they're not encumbered, the lots,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So we need to kind of figure out what the next step is on that. What do we want to do? You know, we can do whatever we want. But what I was thinking is, I think we need to come up with a game plan of what we want to see and kick it back to parks. Let them chew on it, come up with, you know, game plan. And then, but we got to give them good direction of what
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out.
So
And
would
I'd
that be
like
like
for us
in
to
a-
think about it as a system, that all the parks, the interrelationships or not,
Yeah.
and looking at the park system.
So, just, I don't know if you want to chew on that, but, or do we want to put an agenda item next?
I was gonna say.
I'd rather just kick it to them, but I kind of, we got to tell them what we want them to do.
But it'd be cool to have it as an agenda item, not a workshop.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, do we want to, do we feel comfortable, I know it's like 9 o'clock, but do you want to chat about it quick and see if we want to push it, you know, give them direction on what we expect out of that? Or nothing? Do we want to do a joint meeting with them? Do we want to talk about it here on our own?
I think part of the issue has been between the council and parks is the two are not talking to each other. So I think
Right.
in order for us to get what we want out of parks and kind of collaborate a little bit more is to sit down together, decide what we would like to give them to
I agree
help
with
them work towards a goal for us.
the direction.
And because they've never had that.
Yeah.
Right.
So we
So
want
I
to
think
do
that would be the
another,
most effective.
another joint meeting like we did back in May or whatever.
Well, I think we should do one more, either an agenda item, come up with 10 bullet points that we want to hand to them, to have them do.
But
And
you want to,
maybe-
you don't want to brainstorm with them.
Not really,
Okay. So you don't want to do a joint meeting?
no.
Oh.
I don't want to do, that's the whole point of giving them this, so when we
Oh, I
have
thought
a
you
joint
just- okay.
meeting,
Heard that
we
right.
actually have some things to discuss.
But you do want to have a joint meeting with them eventually?
At some point, of course.
Oh, okay.
After we left the last one, I wanted to have 2 a year,
Right.
but I don't think we're ready for that yet.
Okay, so you want a workshop, now that we got that back, workshop or put an agenda item for us to talk about what we want to do.
Yes, well,
With
how
that.
we'd like to see the Parks Commission work towards some of our goals. And
Okay.
then they can interject with a lot of their goals. But how they can even be efficient without knowing what any of us have wanted over the years is beyond me. There needs to be more direction given to the Parks Commission from the
Okay, so
council.
besides these 3 lots, I mean, do we have a laundry list of what we want to give them?
I have a list.
Okay.
Maybe it is more workshop-y. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think a workshop.
If we can, it might be more productive to do it the way that you're saying, is like have a workshop about that, so we just keep it to an hour and then come up
Sure.
with something to give to them.
And I think we should all show up with our couple of bullet points that would be beneficial to give to the Parks Commission. And then we can, just like we do at the year end, when we come up with our goals for the year. And then we can decide what that looks like and then hand that off to Parks. The Parks
So do we
Commission.
want to kind of do this toward, into the new year? As
Yes,
like, you know,
yes.
a priority for 2026?
Actually, that's a really good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't, nothing's going to happen in the next couple months anyway.
No.
So let's do that. Let's maybe do a workshop in January or February, preparing for the next, for that year. And then we can talk more about what we expect or what we want
I
to
think that's a
collaborate
really
with.
good idea.
The other thing is, the other thing is, well, this will come up then, obviously, with, you know, the Art Walker at 2 point, do we call it 2.5 or 3, whatever?
Phase 2.5,
Yeah.
Is that what I call it?
I think.
You know, we gotta kind of figure, you know, so if we can, you know, implement some of that next year, but I
Yeah,
kind
I
of
would
want their
like to revisit some
opinion
of
on.
the park, because like the decision to not try and be year-round, I think that we need to rethink that. And some of the other activities that can be done. They stamped the walkway
Yeah.
last week, so.
So the other issue too is, we did not approve any chairs or picnic tables,
Right.
which is fine for the winter, but spring's gonna
Well,
come
as long
quick,
as,
so.
I just want us to be mindful of having accessible furnishings and Adirondack chairs. That's Wayzata, everyone's looking at Wayzata has that. Let's quit copying others' communities and do what's best for our community.
Yeah.
And that was, and I got letters from seniors who said, I can't believe those are the kind of chairs they're gonna put in the park. We already have benches that don't work, although the city staff has been modifying that. So I think it's about accessibility. That was a real.
Okay, so for the light ceremony, tree lighting ceremony, what we talked to Ryan about doing is, bless you, is pulling some picnic tables from the other parks, right? So somewhere, I mean, we have concrete, we have nothing, you just look at it, you can't sit on it. So, so we're gonna do that, at least for this event, and then know that winter is winter, and probably not gonna be used a ton in the winter anyway. Obviously, we didn't do the fire pit, but, and then I think we need to kind of, all of us, think about, what does this next phase look like if we implement it and go for it next year, or if we just brainstorm next year and do it the following year. Whatever our deal is, we want to, you know.
Right,
it's just-
they're gonna have the fire things this year that they
They're gonna have
had
the
last
fire,
year.
portable fire pits,
Yeah.
yes, for the event. But I'm saying in the winter,
Yeah, sure.
you know, what else are we gonna, and there's nothing, maybe it's not gonna be used much in the winter anyway, but there's not really nothing you can do, but I kinda wanna kick this off, so like, you know, April, May hits,
We have tables and chairs.
Yeah, we have something
Yeah,
to
sure.
bring people in. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is doing, and we kind of partly did that with the parks, with letting Joanna do the 3 events that we never did, right? But I know we kind of came up with the verbiage on that. What I'd want to see is, we did this, brand new park. Now how do we fill it, right? So Spirit of Lakes, do they do something there half the time? Do we do a music in the park every Thursday night or every, whatever? And then is that something that, our new Maggie can accomplish? Or is that too much for her? And then we can have one of the parks members or a volunteer of the community facilitate. It's a lot of work to facilitate a concert every week, but we have this good brand new park, and now we got to, somehow fill it. Art walks or art festivals coming, But if we don't start doing it, start thinking about it in the winter, it's going to come fast, and then we're going to have.
Sure.
I mean, people are still going to use it, and they're going to come and check it out and stuff. But let's bring them in now that we did all this. So anyway, that's my thought on that. So let's maybe start brainstorming over the next month or two.
Well, we
and
should
then
have that be our,
January. That'll be a big priority.
that'll be on our priorities list, that'll help us keep on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's plenty of time to set it up for the year. Okay. All right. Last thing, I want to say thank you to Jesse for driving all the way to our senator's house today. So last minute, we were working on this one pager for our water treatment plant to submit the funding for that, and in concert with her.
This with Ann?
With Ann, yep,
Okay.
our senator, state senator, sorry. She said that we should come up with a one pager. This is common, we've done this before, but we kind of updated, kind of what she would
Yeah.
want, because they're doing the bus
The
tour
tour.
thing. They're not coming here, but she's still gonna hand it out to the people on the bus and talk about our needs and whatever. The other thing too is, remember, we submitted for 30 originally. She said, it's not gonna happen. Don't submit for 30, submit for 15, and say that you're gonna match the other 15, right? So I hope all of you are okay with that. I know we did a utility rate study, so that's how we would afford the other
Yeah.
15, or maybe all 30, But she's basically said with Senator Pappas, who's the chair,
Oh, she is?
she said that
Okay.
they want to see people matching, and we said, well, we've spent, $80 million, the last how many years? And she said, that's fine, but, plus you already got 10. So the thought is, Jesse, what he did is he pulled, we're still saying that the total project is 30, but we said we want 15. And she said, that's gonna be a lot more productive
Receptive.
conversation.
Makes
Receptive
sense.
down there. So, that's
So
what we
you drove
did.
to her house to make a pitch, or?
Yeah.
He dropped off the
Over
one
100
pager
times.
at her house.
Wow,
So I appreciate his extra.
thank you.
Go get up and go.
Precedence has been set.
Yeah. And then I did talk to Representative Myers about the same thing, and he said, yep, sounds like a great idea, but just remember, hypothetically, even if we got the 15,
Yeah.
that we still need another 15. And that's, again, where the utility rates, we're gonna have to pay some of this on our own. There's just no way around it if we're gonna go through with this. So, that's the plan. I'm gonna throw that in the next newsletter. That's gonna be written by the end of the
Sure.
week, I think. I think it should go out in November, so I just wanted to make sure, unless anybody had an issue with any of that, we can put the number back to 30 or whatever.
I
but-
think that's
No, that
good.
sounds like a good plan.
Okay, so,
Thank you, Jesse.
thanks,
Were you in
Jess.
the middle
Thanks, Jess.
of heated traffic running on over
In the rain,
there?
too.
And in the rain, you're right.
drive.
All right, does staff have any reports?
Barefoot?
Yeah, I will mention, next meeting's on a Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
It's because of
Oh, because
Veterans Day,
Veterans
and that was the one, if you recall, when Ryan was here last time regarding the water tower, we were gonna have a workshop on that, and council decided we would meet even earlier than 5, I think we said 4, to give
Yeah,
ourselves
'cause-
enough time to really dive into designing a water tower, so
Can they send us
So
anything
do we need 2 hours,
originally?
or can we?
you can definitely end it early, but you can't go late, so.
And is this gonna be at our next meeting, that workshop?
Yeah.
Okay.
This
I
is just-
apologize, I didn't know anything about the workshop today.
It's
I don't
about
know what
designing
happened
our water tower.
This is just to design what's gonna be painted on the water tower?
pretty much.
So what if we all don't agree? Do we have another workshop to, I
Well,
mean, just like tonight, I mean, it's gonna be hard to agree on
You
it.
necessarily have to have a design done at the next meeting, but at some point, so what was hired last time was the firm that's going to put a bid out there for somebody to come in and do the work. So at some point, they need to have a final design, so.
I
What
mean,
are
I'm
we
not
known for?
coming to the meeting with like a lot of, I don't know, like if we need 2 hours or can we
They're
get it
gonna give
done?
us designs there, right?
Can we get it done?
So they're already kind of clip arting what they think it should look like?
Right.
Okay. No, if you, we didn't give them any guidance at all, so this might be a short meeting.
It could be. I mean, you know, there's only so much you can do.
Should we cater
on a
in
tower.
sandwiches?
I was gonna say, we don't do well with short meetings. I think we could get it done in an hour, but I don't know.
Yeah.
If we need to get there at 4, we get there at,
I mean, we extended it because
okay.
you said it
Sounds
might,
like there's gonna be a
might
lot
be,
of
might be a lot of.
I think that's
Okay.
gonna be a very visual meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, again, if we, I don't want to be pressured to make a decision that night, but if
Guys,
for
I
some
have a
reason we all
6
agree.
o'clock in the
then
morning bus
great.
coming to get me.
Yeah.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
be up all
Anything
night
else?
as it is.
All right. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Did
Or
you-
motion to adjourn?
Yeah, and then a second.
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 Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, we're adjourned.